Okay. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. Okay, all right. Ready to whistle? Okay, we're really excited to have our guests here today. So I'm Heather Barker, Relocation Director here for Central Everest, and we get a lot of relocating clients that come into town, and they really are interested in, a new home, new building, that sort of thing. And it's really hard to know how to create value for those people once you have them under contract, and how to create value for the builders. So this class, I'm excited to introduce. Teresa is going to come up and talk a little bit about what to expect and introduce our speaker. Yes, and we also want to acknowledge Colin Farmer and Randy Workman. They're here from Century 21 Corporate.
Colin came from Connecticut.
We came from Connecticut just to be here for this. So we're really excited to have their support, and they actually introduced us to this class as well. So we're really excited, Teresa.
Yes, Heather. I told you to take your time, talk about me.
Oh, yeah.
Let's give a nice warm round of applause for Heather. So how is everybody feeling this morning?
Great.
Dan, that's good energy. These guys are going to be good today. I'm feeling good. Okay. Well, it was a pleasure meeting all of you this morning. In case you didn't check in with me, did everybody get one of these? Okay. And you did. Okay. If you didn't check in with me, please see me at break. I just need to get your license number because you are going to get, this is like the kids who nights, guys. You're going to get CE as well. Okay. Not only are you going to get the MAM, but you're going to get CE as well. Okay. So I just want to make sure to get that for you. So I'm not going to take any further time here other than to take a moment to introduce my best friend, my business partner, my boyfriend, my husband, Mr. Dennis Walsh, one of the smartest guys I know. Yes, because he married me.
She doesn't know that. She doesn't know that many people. That
He's
gives
a
me an edge.
visionary. You're in for a treat today, okay? All
I'm
right,
having a great day.
Good morning. So let's give him a
How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good. You all excited to be here?
Yes, sir.
Is anybody here excited about the idea of sitting still for 3 hours? Can you do that? It might not be easy. I see some hesitation. All right, if you have to get up and stretch in between, it's not going to bother me because I have a hard time sitting still as well. Who's excited to be in the business of real estate today? Woo, I'm telling you, what a perfect storm of opportunities. Teresa and I have been at this for over 30 years. I grew up as a builder, designing and building new homes. She had a real estate license, I think, when she turned 20 or 21. And we've been around this business all our life. We have never seen so many tremendous opportunities, such a long runway of ongoing opportunities. So all of you being here, many of you who survived the Great Recession and fought your way through that, we're just very, very excited for all of you. But more than that, how many of you are excited to be in the business of real estate as a Century 21 Everest real estate professional? What do you think of that? I mean, you are with one of the most powerful organizations, not just real estate, one of the most powerful organizations on the planet Earth, right? A powerful brand name. We're going to talk about some of that stuff as we go. But we're here today because Colin and Randy and folks there are recognizing. I talked to Heather, and Heather said, "Are you kidding? All the new homes we have here, all the opportunities. This is something we want our folks to be aware of." So, and I'm confident we're going to be back again to work with more folks here and support you as you grow your business. Now, today is about opportunities. It's about opportunities in the business of new home sales. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about why there are opportunities, why it's important to your real estate business. Does that make sense? We're then going to talk about what are the areas of opportunity. And just to kind of get a sense of that, first of all, how many of you here, anybody here currently representing a builder, handling the sales and marketing, support, and services for a builder? Anybody doing that? Okay. Anybody here who would like to add that to your business, if possible? Fantastic. Anyone here doing that? Would you like to take that to a higher level? We've had people who take on multiple builders and build tremendous businesses around that. Is there anyone here positioning him or herself as a new home buyer specialist? Is anyone doing that? Okay, great. We're going to talk about that today. And the whole idea of getting a builder, lots of folks in real estate, when you think about getting involved in new homes, right away the first thought is, I'm going to get a builder, I'm going to get a builder. And I speak at lots of national conventions, do a lot of sessions like that, and folks will come up often before the session and say, Dennis, can you tell me, in this session, are you going to teach us how to get a builder? Well, those sessions are usually like an hour, right? And my first response is, listen, I can't tell you everything you need to know about how to do that business in an hour, and I can't tell you all about that today in 3 hours, but we're going to cover a lot of ideas, a lot of strategies. My second favorite response is, listen, getting a builder could be like getting a disease. Have any of you had that? That disease, yeah. So the battle plan is to recognize the good builders, the right builders, how to put together successful relationships. And our approach to it is very, very different than most people in real estate have done this. But again, over 30 years, me growing up as a builder, I was based in Northeast Ohio at that point. As I was telling Colin or Andy, we moved to Newport Beach, California over 20 years ago. And I grew up in a little town in Northeast Ohio, the snow capital. And I said, well, what's another place that's exactly like Ohio, but with palm trees? So Newport Beach was pretty close. Anyway, so we see lots and lots of different things, and in our travels, lots of stuff out there. Now, is it possible that as I take you through various things related to your success in real estate, sales strategies, marketing strategies, ideas, things like that, is it possible some of the things I share with you are things you already know? Yeah, some of you have been in real estate for a long time. Some of you had other careers that roll over and apply to this. One little story I love that relates to that, kind of lays the groundwork for that aspect of things, is two very, very old couples, way, way up in years. Haven't seen each other for the longest time. The two women are chatting away, the two men are chatting away, and one guy says to the other guy, we went to a restaurant the other night downtown, food, service, prices, fantastic. You ought to check it out. And the guy said, I'd love to. What's the name of the restaurant? Well, those of us getting up in years, you realize the memory doesn't always kick in the way you'd like. So this guy's scratching his head, trying to come up with it. Light bulb goes off. He looks at the other guy. He said, what's that flower with a long stem and thorns on the stem? The guy said, that's a rose. He said, that's right. Turned to his wife, he said, Rose, what's the name of that restaurant we visited the other night? So the point is, some of you learned fundamentals. You learned stuff in initial training. You had other careers where you had strategies and things. But do you not find yourself sometimes, you come out of a negotiation or a deal's going sideways or whatever in your business, and sometimes you look back an hour later or a day or two later and you say, why didn't I approach it this way? Why didn't I think of that, right? So a big part of what we do, I promise, is you go through any of the information we present, we're combining it with the best of the best. There's age-old foundational things that are worth their weight in gold. Isn't that true? In sales and marketing and customer relationships and so on. We blend that with what's new and what's happening. So back to our agenda here, we're going to talk about why there are opportunities. We're going to talk about what are the areas of opportunities. We're going to talk about builder representation and go beyond that into other areas. We're then going to talk about trends. So the battle plan is to talk about trends. What's happening in the market? And as we go through trends, demographic trends, and various market trends and buyer trends and so on, the idea again, our focus again, is opportunities for you to really get your head around how does this present opportunities for me to build my business in a way that I can meet the needs of buyers in the marketplace. Does that make sense to you? Okay, are you excited about that? I can feel that excitement growing. That's pretty good. It'll grow as we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to dig into that. You've all got your handouts. You take notes as we go in your handouts. And what we're doing in effect here is we're actually taking you through the first module of our Certified New Home Specialist training. So we're going to take it, and Colin's probably painfully already gone through some of this. So you'll be familiar with some of this as we go. But again, you're going to get a sense of what our online training and the structure of the course and so on. Later on then, at the end, after we've covered lots of ground and ideas and strategies, and I promise you'll be able to walk out of this room with new ideas, recognize new opportunities and so on. Then Teresa will get up and just share an opportunity for you to take the training a little further. Did you ever notice if you are suddenly in the market for something you haven't shopped for a while? Right? And a car is a good example. Today you go online. How many have gone online and built the car online? Isn't that cool? Yeah. Build the car and the colors and the wheels, and then you can spin it around in 3D and see. It's very, very cool. Suddenly, when you're kind of in that mode, that mindset, as you're driving around town, what do you see almost every intersection, every parking lot? That car, right? And we know it's not because there's more of those on the road, right? What's the reason? Our brain's looking for it. It's on our radar, right? It's top of mind. So again, that's one of my goals. And that's one of our goals, big picture in our training, is many, many people over and over we hear, you know what? I was driving by golden opportunities. I was driving by pots of gold. And I didn't recognize it. I didn't even see it there. And suddenly, not only did I see it, but I had the strategies, the steps. I knew how to approach that and turn that into great business opportunities. Does that make sense? Okay, so we'll be excited. You'll walk out of here with an understanding of that today. Before we jump into taking notes and moving through things, I just want to share just a handful of just basic concepts. Again, I've been doing real estate training for 30-some years, built my building business, custom design build, had a manufactured housing business, I had a factory, 10,000 square feet, trucks on the road where we manufactured home building components for professional builders. So we've done an awful lot of things. Not only done all the training and work with folks in the field, so a lot of what I share is based on real world experience with people in the field, selling and overcoming challenges, and executive coaching, working with some of the very top of the industry, executives at Realogy for many years, to help take advantage of these strategies, and some just on their personal business. So I've learned an awful lot. And one of the fundamentals is, and this applies to your business right on the nose, as well as lots of other businesses, a lot of other levels, is that many of us are so focused, again, just some big picture concepts, many of us are so focused on the day-to-day, managing transactions, that we sometimes forget that we should also be building a business for the long term. Does that make sense? And let's face it, is managing transactions important? Yeah, you got to keep the wheels on the deals. Every day you're fighting to get up every day. And what went wrong while I was sleeping? What's going sideways today? And you often have to fist fight these deals to come together, but that's part of your job. And that's what gets commissions paid. That's what gets your clients taken care of. So it's important. But would you agree that sometimes that short-term focus and putting those fires out often affects us in a way that we're not necessarily building a pipeline, laying groundwork for 6 months from now and 12 months from now. That's true. And so one fundamental concept, and we're going to talk about as we go today, I'm going to give you examples. One fundamental concept is in your business building plan, in addition to everything else you're doing, and some of you I know are doing this, do you have carved out in your schedule, in there, the big rocks in the jar, time allocated every week, every month for things that are going to build your business, not just today in the short term, but 6 months from now, 12 months from now, 5 years from now. And if you're not doing that, again, today we're talking about what's exciting is the new homes arena offers you some of the most exciting opportunities to build that in your business. Okay? The other thing I often say is that many of us in the business of real estate, and I'm sure you can identify with this, many of us in the business of real estate are fighting for a piece of the same pie. Isn't that true? It's tough. It's tough. It's competitive business. It's tough to differentiate ourselves. How many of you are finding there's only so much inventory available out there? Is that a challenge? Yeah. There's only so much inventory. There are only so many buyers, so many sellers. So we're often fighting for a piece of the same pie. One of my messages today is you need super secrets, because that's in real estate. Instead of fighting for a piece of the same pie, you need to learn how to bake your own pie. That sound good? Most of us love pies. And some of you are thinking, what the heck is he talking about? Before we're done today, I promise you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about as far as bake your own pie. And to put that in other terms, many of us, I like to say in the business of real estate, are waiters. We're waiting for the market to get better. We're waiting for the phone to ring. I'm doing all my marketing, right? I'm reaching out to my sphere of influence. I hope somebody calls today and says, I want to buy or I want to sell. As it relates to inventory, many of us are saying, boy, I'm just waiting. I hope a developer develops some more land. I hope some builders build some more inventory. Isn't that true? Hopefully I can get my foot in the door, turn that into sales, right? So a big part of the business is often what I say waiting, the waiters. What I'd like to suggest is that if you could change your mindset, hopefully I can help you do that today, where you say, I'm going to be a waiter, that's fine. I'm going to do all those things. That's a big part of the business. But I'm also going to move my mindset from not just being a waiter to becoming a creator. What do you think of that? Okay. Move outside your comfort zone. Redefine yourself. And lastly, I just want to share my goal today, and I believe in setting big goals. How many of you believe in setting big goals? Right? You limit yourself. You set little goals. It's most you'll ever achieve. Set big goals. My goal today, as many of you as possible, I want you to look back on today and say, you know what? That day with Dennis Walsh helped me changed my life, helped me change my career. And I know some of you will, because I've been doing this now for 30 some years, over 150,000 people through various training and coaching and things like that. And to this day, every year I see people at conventions and so on coming up and say, your training, that message changed my life and changed my career. So are you excited about that?
Yeah.
See how much more excitement?
Yeah.
Yeah, so some of the things we did over the years, working with troubled sales teams, working with people out in the field. I'll never forget, I had a group, few agents where I was in Atlanta. We're working some beautiful models. They've gone through our training, and now I'm saying, pretend I'm a buyer. We'll just role play a little bit and show me how you're going to demonstrate and answer my questions, overcome objections. So they're nervous because they're being evaluated. We're about halfway through. And I look and I say, hey, aren't you excited about this? These two guys are like, aren't you excited about this? And they said, yes. I said, well, notify your face. And I'll tell you, there's one secret right there. Get up every day. How many of you excited to be in real estate?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, an amazing opportunity, amazing career. You got the sun at your back. No one can stop you except you, right? So if you don't get up every day and find a way to get excited, your customers, clients aren't going to get excited, and it's going to go nowhere. So we're going to see how we can get you excited today. So let's turn to the first page of your handouts. We're going to talk here now, why are there opportunities in new home sales? The first thing I'd like you to jot down, if you will, is a new home is the American dream. Do you agree with that? There's lots of other American dreams, but wouldn't you agree that there's an awful lot of folks out there who say, you know, at some point, we would love to buy a brand new home. Okay, maybe our first home's going to be a used home, maybe our second home, but eventually, how nice have a brand new home, pick out the colors and the finishes. Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be exciting? So I'd like you to think in terms of shoppers out there, people who are actively shopping for homes. Okay. And I'd like you to think about folks in your hood. So I know all of you here aren't necessarily working in the same neighborhood, right? We all come from different areas. So your hood, I'm going to refer to where you do business. I'd like you to think in terms of people who are seriously interested in buying a home, and ask yourself, what percentage of those folks do you think ideally would love to have a brand new home, right? They may say, I just want to buy a brand new home, that's it. Or they may say, I want to shop and compare new to existing. So think about that. How many of you, just out of curiosity, how many of you think it's at least 50% in your mind? Really? Yeah. And some of you, I know, some of you are going to say, anybody 60, 70% or more? Yeah, we have areas where people say, just, what about relocation buyers? What percentage of those have that interest, right? A very high percentage. They're moving to a new area, starting a new life. We hear that all the time. Okay, so let's take a look at some statistics. So this is an NAHB, National Association of Home Builders survey of active home shoppers. And the term active home shoppers in the business of real estate research and so on is a pretty important term. Some of you may want to jot down. Active home shoppers are people who are in the market to buy another home, new or existing, in the next 12 months or less. So they define themselves, next 12 months or less, we're going to finally make it happen. Now we know it's a big, not all of them come through. It's a big market segment out there. But is this an important group for us when it comes to understanding what they're thinking? Absolutely. So real estate researchers out there, our various groups are doing surveys, analyzing this. The results of these surveys are not only used by Colin and executives, and Randy and executives in the management level, the strategic and the marketing level. They're used by economists, folks on Wall Street. The housing industry is a massive component of the economy, right? So what these folks are thinking is very, very important. So various surveys are done. The NAHB is what? National Association of Home Builders, right? They do a survey year after year, consumer survey. They ask all kinds of things. One of the questions, so the one question we're focused on here is relative to their interest, buyers' interest in new homes as opposed to existing homes. And over 25, 30 major metropolitan markets, thousands of surveys done, so lots of good data. Again, you'll want to target it to your hood, your backyard. But number one survey says 21% will only buy a brand new home. So 21%. Now, does that surprise you? 21% say, you know what, if I can't make a new home happen, I'm just going to stay where I am. Pretty realistic. Not surprising. All right, 40% prefer new, but want to compare to existing. So they say in an ideal world, I really would love a brand new home, but I don't know what's out there, right? And I don't know how it compares to what might be available in existing homes, and so I want to explore both. Any surprises? Finally, that leaves 39% who will only buy an existing home. So we got a pretty good segment of folks there. And again, you can say in your mind, well, you know what, I think maybe these numbers are a little higher, that's a little lower. But on a national average, these are pretty realistic, which gives us a number here of 61% want to shop for a brand new home. Isn't that true? 61% want to shop for a brand new home. Now, if I started out today and I said, listen, I have an idea I'm going to present to you today, and some strategies around this and so on that will allow you to take your business next year 20% higher production than you had this year. How many of you find that meaningful? Okay, so right out of the box, we're talking about 61% of the market. And I'm just curious, I talked about the idea that most of us in real estate are fighting for a piece of the same pie. As we look at this pie, what segment of the market are most folks in real estate fighting for? Right? The 39%, don't you agree? Most of us in real estate, I'm not saying, most of us are focused on this group here. 61% of the pie, and we're going to define that a little bit more clearly. Now, before we move any further, who are these 39%? Why are there folks out there saying, you know what, I have no interest in a brand new home? Who would they be? Okay, so first-time home buyers, good point. Builders today are not producing much in the way of first-time product, right? Because costs are high, labor costs, land costs, and even if they get, margins are often small. Now, more and more builders are moving into that arena. Certainly, we've got millennials, it's a big driver in the marketplace. Generation Z starting to move in. So we've got a lot of folks out there interested in that. But to your point, there's not as much product out there, so that's a challenge. What are some other reasons somebody might say, you know what, I'm really not interested in a brand new home? Time frame. So there's timing, there's cost. If you have two comparable homes side by side, an older one and a brand new one, which is going to be more expensive? The brand new one. And right now, across a national average, just to give you a sense, and again, it varies from market to market, but the national average runs right now the premium for a new home. So let's say you've got a 3-bedroom, 2-car garage, 2.5 bath home, an existing versus a new. The new runs somewhere in the range of 28 to 30% higher. What do you think? That's a pretty big premium, isn't it? But there are still lots and lots of folks. Why might somebody say, yes, I am willing to pay that premium? Why would they say, I still want a brand new home? Perfect. Tailored, designed their own needs. They pick out the colors and finishes. And there's that new effect, right? It's brand new. No one else has lived here. I'm not moving in and saying, what in the world is that smell coming out of that back room? Whew. What else?
Well, they know they're not going to put any roof on it.
Perfect. Yeah, everything's brand new, so they've got some long life on roofing and siding and mechanicals. They've got warranties on that stuff. Higher efficiency today, right? The latest materials, low maintenance. They're often located in nice new developments in areas that in many cases you'll find that a brand new home will tend to appreciate a little higher rate for quite a few years, right? So those are all the reasons.
Does that 31% also factor in things like improvements after moving in, such as landscape and fencing?
No, but that's a good point. So flipping it around, you bring up why might somebody say, I don't want the new home? So we went in one direction. And so, to your point, there's landscaping, there's improvements in the house. Window treatments, and if they like them, and then, if they don't, it's no value, but you're absolutely right. So that's one reason. What are some of the reasons somebody would say, back to our 39%, I don't want a brand new home?
They want a certain area and there's not the land available.
On the money. It's the number one is location. This is where I want to be, whether it's schools, shopping, and there's many older established areas that are beautiful, right? And to your point, the landscaping and the whole neighborhood is done. We're not living in a community with construction for the next 4 years right around the corner, right? Those kinds of things. There's timing, right? It's often a long lead time, and sometimes the timing doesn't work out. There's cost. So there's all these various reasons why but many people start with that dream of a new home. We have 61% here. As they go through the process of education, their view changes. Back to 39%. So there are folks who want that location, and maybe some of those other reasons we talked about. I think roughly half are those folks, and I think the other half here are what I call the HGTV people. All right. They're watching these shows, they're seeing the before and after, and they're saying, honey, won't this be romantic? Oh my God. Right? You know what? They want to be Chip and Joanna. Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
They do. And isn't Chip the cutest guy ever?
I love him.
Don't you? Yeah, what a great guy, right? He's fun and funny, and their love just grows. And everything they tackle comes out looks amazing. And is that the way it's going to work out for most of our?
Yeah, no.
Not so much. Not so much. I've seen many times these big renovation projects under construction for a year or so. Next thing you know, it's not even finished. There's a for sale sign because mom and dad are heading two different directions. They can't live through the frustration. But there are people who tackle that. They love it. It's fun. But anyway, that's that much. So, but 61%, right? Now, what percentage of real estate professionals out there really know how to help people through that process, shopping for a home, and sorting through things? I wish. We're working on it.
Just Josh over there.
Okay, we're working on it. Let me just take you this, the number 2 point here as you're jotting down notes. Majority of real estate agents have no new home sales expertise. Studies done, there's a group in Denver that does studies periodically on this. And they consistently come up, believe it or not, about 3% of all real estate professionals really have the expertise, okay? But let's talk about that. Let's put let's define this. The majority of real estate agents have no new home sales expertise. I'm gonna go back to this. So these folks are out there shopping. Before I dig into that real quickly, so I have the honor to speak at various events, in addition to the national events. So on the CEO Exchange event, New York City is an exciting event where all the leaders of the industry, right, all the CEOs and heads of companies there, and I get up and I talk for a few minutes about new homes, opportunities, statistics. And a few years ago, I shared this data when the survey first came out. And I asked the group a question. Let me ask you this. If you open up the Sunday paper and you saw Lowe's or Home Depot running an ad that said, come into our stores, we have everything you need to meet 39% of your home improvement needs. 39%. And for the rest of the stuff you're looking for, good luck. I hope you can find it. Right? What would you think if you saw that ad? Right? You think somebody in Lowe's marketing is smoking crack? I mean, come on. Is that a good business plan, right? So I now said to those executives, you can imagine it resonated with a lot of them. There were a few of them weren't really sure what they thought, but I said, let me ask you this. How many of you in your brokerages, how many of you in your office, how many of your agents are in effect saying to the market of active buyers and shoppers out there, come in and work with us. We have the training, the education, the relationships, the market knowledge, everything necessary to help 39% of all active home shoppers make their best choice in the home. And for the other 61% who want to explore new home opportunities, I hope you can find your way through the darkness. Think about that. Is that a great strategy? And I'm not being critical at all. You know, it's the light bulb that goes off for many people. So, are you kidding me? What I'm saying, does this make sense? Part and parcel of the home shopping, home buying process for 61% of buyers, based on this, part and parcel is exploring a new home as an opportunity. Isn't that true? Here's another piece of that. What percentage of those active home shoppers want to work with us as a real estate professional to help them through that process? Anybody have any idea? Anybody remember when the internet was brand new? And usually there's a few young people looking at this. What are you talking about? Generation Z now has grown up in a world, there's always been technology as part of the world, right? Back when the internet was brand new, what were the projections about us and our real estate, our future real estate careers? What happened to travel agents? No one. You can't find it. I think they moved into real estate, right? Yeah. All right. Which would be good for them. But the reality is technology took those functions and services and eliminated the need. You can have an app on your phone and you can find out exactly what's cooking. Did that happen in real estate? No. Isn't it amazing? As real estate is more data, more information, more new models, more disruptors, more people who know nothing about real estate raising venture capital and trying to revolutionize real estate. What has happened? The desire for working with us has increased. 92%, NAR study, the latest, 92% of all active home shoppers want to work with us as real estate professionals. Isn't that cool? Yeah, round of applause for all of us. You guys are making that happen. Why? Because you're bringing more value. You're providing that guidance, that local support. It goes beyond just having data. it goes beyond just having information in a cloud, right, and automating things. People really need us. So what do they need us? What do they need? As somebody shopping for a brand new home, they want to work with us, right? What is the support they need? Any of these folks, when they go to high school or college, do they take classes on how to buy a home? Or how to buy a new home? No. So they're out there in the darkness trying to figure this out. And they talk to friends, and they've got Uncle Buck, and Uncle Buck knows all about it. He tells them everything they need to know. And it just creates more confusion. We had a few Uncle Bucks to deal with. Yeah, so that's fun. So what are people looking for? Well, I know because we've done the survey. So I had a team of people calling up people who visited model homes and following up on the registration cards. And we've done exit surveys. And we've asked people, asked consumers. And here's the things that come up. Number one, what are you looking for from a real estate professional, someone to help you through the new home buying process? Number one, where do I begin? Where's the starting point? Do I go out and talk to a bunch of builders and start sorting through builders? Do I buy a building lot? Do I go online and pick home plan of some sort or talk to a designer? Right? Where's the starting point? Can you see the confusion there? Now, is the answer to that, is it the same for everyone? Other than hopefully connecting with us as a skilled real estate professional who is trained and skilled and specializes in helping new home buyers, right? That's the first step. That's really the answer to get them going. The next step is based on the questions we ask, who they are, what they're trying to achieve. Isn't that true? Our market area, the availability of things. Next question that comes up is, how do I choose a builder? That's a big one, right? And I hear about different kinds of builders: production builders, tract builders, design builders, custom builders. What's the best builder for me, and who are the builders in our area? So doesn't it stand to reason that if you're going to be successful in this arena, you not only need to know different types of builders, how they vary. You need to be in a position to help people target that to their situation and their needs. You need to know specific builders, who they are, right? You need to know their reputations and how they work with people. Isn't that true? Yeah, so putting that stuff together. And by the way, just related to that, in the eyes of most consumers, who's a better builder, a production builder or a custom builder? Yeah, so people say custom builder, right? Is that necessarily true? Yeah, what do you have to do to become a custom builder? Do you have to go to the Custom Builders Institute, a design, technology, professionalism, customer service, and whatever? No. How do you become a custom builder? Yeah, put it on your business card. Put that on there. Paint it on the pickup truck, and off you go.
Hire an architect.
Right? Yeah, hopefully. Hire an architect? Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, some of the builders think they're the world's greatest designers, right? And to that point, honestly, some of the most beautiful homes throughout the world. Some of them are literally like art that people live in, right? And they're designed to meet people's needs, and they're creative, and they blend into their environment. They take advantage of views and lighting and energy, right? All those things. Those homes were built by great custom builders. Where did most of the really horrible designs come from? The lousy custom builders, right? Who don't know what they're doing. Exactly. Can a production builder build a good quality home for you? Yeah, today more than ever before, the production builders. And by the way, before the Great Recession, more than 70% of the homes in America were built by small volume builders, 25 homes or less, right? What happened after the Great Recession? Turned over completely. The small builders couldn't compete in a lot of channels. Number one was just the financial ability to get the funds for building spec homes, to buy lots, struggling to find land as development had slowed down. The big players weren't in a position to do that, acquire lots and so on. Technology is a massive factor, right, in today's business of building. We have a challenge in skilled labor, keeping subs on the job and getting them paid, and all that stuff takes more sophistication. Big builders today are using a technology platform. It's been around for years, but it's now just growing in its use leaps and bounds. It's known as BIM. BIM, B-I-M. Anybody familiar with that? Building Information Modeling. And so there's a term to be aware of. And people ask about the difference in production builders and smaller builders. Many smaller builders are trying to adopt this, trying to get into this. But what it is where the home can be built virtually. On the computer, they can flip it around in 3 dimensions. They can go ahead and look at all the mechanical systems. They can look at the structural systems. The software will figure out exactly how many 12-penny sinker nails, how many roofing nails, how many tubes of glue. The software will figure out exactly how to order the lumber, as opposed to somebody just doing a lumber takeoff and then the carpenters try to figure it out. There's it's not unusual, a 10% waste sitting there. The software figures out exactly what lengths of lumber, how to cut the plywood. Isn't that cool? And minimizes. There are builders saying they've had savings up to $10,000 a home just by using that software to manage materials and eliminate some of the problems. So anyway, that's the world out there. So technology is coming on board. More factory-built housing. A lot of things are coming on board to help builders provide great housing, great quality housing, more, control costs, scale up. We're going to talk about housing demand, and you'll see what a tremendous opportunity. Does that all make sense to you? Okay, so it may be a large regional or national builder that provides the greatest value for your customers. It may be a custom builder, maybe a large established one or smaller. It may be a design builder that coordinates the whole custom design process. But you need to be in a position, right, to help people sort through that. Other questions that come up is who should own the lot? So I'm going to build a custom home. Should I own the lot or should the builder own the lot? So in our training, we teach you the nuances of that, how to answer those questions. Is there insurance concern? Should I have special insurance coverage? Are there liabilities I should be aware of? People will often say, I hear stories of people entering into a contract to build a brand new home and the costs keep going up as the home's under construction. Does that ever happen? All the time, all day long. So their question is there something I can do to protect myself, to keep that from happening? Is there something I can do to avoid that? And each and every one of you decides to become a certified new home specialist and move into this, you can look them right in the eye and say, absolutely, I'm going to show you exactly where we plug the holes in the dam. I'm going to show you exactly how we plan this, prepare. We're going to talk about selections. We're going to talk about allowances, right? We're going to talk about change orders and things, and help people keep that under control. That makes sense? So these are just a handful of examples on the things. So the point is, you can bring tremendous value. And once people spend a little bit of time with you, they want, again, 92% want to work with a real estate professional. Once they connect with you, they very quickly say, and by the way, how long do you think it takes for the average home buyer to figure out whether we know what we're talking about when it comes to a new home?
10 seconds.
About a minute or two? Yeah, they're watching the HGTV shows. People are more sophisticated today than ever before. How long do you think it takes for a builder to figure out what you know? About the same thing. So you never get a second chance to make that first impression. You get one shot at that with folks, one shot at that with builders. It's interesting. We'll be at a convention and Teresa will be working in the exhibit booth, and somebody will come up and say, "Oh, this is new homes. This is working with builders." None of the builders in my area want to work with a realtor. And she'll say, "Seriously, I've never heard of that. Why would you say that?" Well, they're just not interested. How do you know? I went out and I talked to a bunch of the builders. And I remember her one time saying, "Hey, with all due respect, is it a case where they don't want to work with a real estate professional or they don't want to work with you?" She says, have you had any training? What are you saying to these people? Well, I don't know. He said, well, my attitude was if I found a builder who was interested, then I'd go ahead and take the training. That's maybe a little backwards, don't you think? I don't think you're going to get anybody saying yes at that point. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. So we have New Home is American Dream. So we have this huge group of folks out there. Oh, another little example a lot of people like is imagine a young couple interested in shopping for a home, go online, and they find 123 Elm Street. It's a cute little Cape Cod home. The pictures are fantastic. So the people start online. They get in the car, of course. Most people do. Get out, take a look at it in real life there. It's even cuter in real life. They're so excited. They see a lockbox. They see a for sale sign. They shoot back up to the end of the street. They pass the real estate office as they head down the street. They run in the door, and there's some young woman working the floor. She's all excited. They say, "Hey, we're interested in this home down at the end of the street here. Wondering if you can help us. What's the address? 123 Elm Street." She plugs it into the computer. She now looks up and she says, "Can I ask you a question? Is 123 Elm Street, is that a cul-de-sac?" And they say, "Yeah, it's right on the cul-de-sac here. It's adorable." And the agent says, "I am so sorry. Our brokerage, we don't do cul-de-sac. If it's a rectangular lot, square, rectangular corners, that's our wheelhouse there. Nobody does corner lot business." Now, what are you thinking as you're That's the silliest thing I've ever heard, right? Believe it or not, and this is not being critical because, without the awareness, but as we talk to folks who've tried to find a real estate professional to help them shop for a new home, they sometimes look at us with the same, "Are you kidding me? Why wouldn't every real estate professional not know? Aren't new homes a big part of the market? Aren't they all, right? But no, we just specialize in old ones, right? Old ones that smell really bad. That's our arena. So just think about it. All right, number 3, builders are seeking broker participation. How many of you are aware of builders out there that will pay co-broke commissions? They'll be happy. Okay, so, and by the way, after the Great Recession, the understanding that builders have why they need to treat us better is at a much higher level. For years and years, I've talked to builders. I've spoken at Builders Association meetings and the National Association of Home Builders Convention, and I'm the real estate guy. I'm always talking about the importance of cooperating and showing respect to the industry. And for years and years, I said, listen, you guys are foul-weather friends, aren't you? Foul-weather friends. When the market is slow, don't they love us? Come on in, bring all of your folks in, and you're our favorite people, right? And you notice that when they have the open house at the model, and times are slow, do you notice how there's like shrimp and lobster, right? And then as soon as the market turns, you're lucky to get a few crackers and some cheese, right? They forget who we are, so you're foul weather friends. The builders who had done that for years got burned very, very badly. Many of the large builders, and I worked on a consulting basis with some of the national builders who were saying, how do we work with real estate professionals more effectively? I'll tell you, and more of those builders today know that 92% of our active shoppers want to work with our support, right? So more and more builders are paying co-broke commissions. So that's the big builder side of it. Now, for those of us, we had quite a few hands in here saying, that would be very, very cool for me to take on the representation of sales and marketing for builders. And why would that be great business? How cool would it be that you have someone who produces 10, 20 homes a year? You start out every year and you say, hey, I got 20 paychecks coming. The builder's going to build them. I'm going to help the builder figure out what they look like, what they are. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Yeah. We have clients out there. We have one of our clients 6 years ago went ahead and got together with a builder and said, hey, I can help you determine what to build and where to build it, and we can market it effectively and help that builder build and sell his first home. This year, they're on track for 500 homes. Would that interest anybody? Yeah, not a bad way to build business. Leon Johnson, a guy who took our training in Cincinnati, Ohio, super successful in resale, has never done new homes, takes our course, and I'll tell you a little later some of the strategies to connect with builders, meets a builder, and said to the builder, how many homes you build? How many homes are you building this year? The guy, just 4. The guy's a great custom builder. Right? And then I went out and talked to the subs. The subs said, the guy's an amazing builder, very, very talented. So, Leon says to him, would you like to build more than 4? And he says, honestly, he says, from a business standpoint, yes. He says, but the truth is, I just don't like people very much. I just don't want to deal with more than 4 customers. He said, I get along with my wife and kids okay. But have you ever met a builder like that? Yeah, they're great with the subs, yelling and screaming at the subs, not so nice and warm and fuzzy with their prospects. So what was Leon's sales pitch? He says, if I can help you sell a bunch more homes, and you would never have to talk to a customer again, would you like it? And the builder's name was Jay. Jay Hassman pulled a pen out of his pocket. He said, where do I sign up for this? Right? 2 years later, Leon and Jay built and sold 68 homes in a 12-month period. Isn't that cool? Would that be exciting to any of you? Yeah, we'll tell you some more world stories. All right, so builders seeking broker participation. So we see the big builders. Now, who's more likely, a large volume builder or a smaller volume builder, to hire us to handle their sales and marketing for them, represent them? Smaller, right? How do the big players typically handle it?
They form their own brokerage.
Some form their own brokerage. Some just have their own in-house sales team. And of course, the laws and stuff along that vary from state to state and vary from builder to builder on how they want to structure it. Yeah, bigger players often handle their own stuff. Now, here's what's interesting. More and more today, we have folks that we've worked with for years. They've put together a team of people who are trained, sophisticated in it. In some cases, the companies have an enormous division. And more, we have builders, big volume builders, building high-end stuff. I know some of this stuff's going on right in Park City, where instead of hiring their own and managing their own team, they'll turn to qualified, skilled real estate professionals to help them determine what to build, how to build it, put together all the marketing, the messaging, coordinate that, and do it at a much higher level, more cost-effective level than the builder could him or herself. Okay? So those opportunities are there, but your answer is right. For the most part, our target is smaller volume builders. Our typical small builders, are they typically great marketers? Not so much. And do they want to learn how to be marketers? Do they want to learn all about Facebook marketing and social media? Not so much. Are they great with technology? Not so much. They don't want to learn that either. They just kind of want to build homes. And they're not sure what to build, where to build. They don't know how to market and so on. So there is really almost unlimited opportunity. After the Great Recession, we have so many smaller builders out there who've still been kind of struggling to get back in the game and compete with the larger builders. And today we're going to talk about a number of opportunities and arenas to help make that happen. Isn't this exciting, Heather? Are you having fun? She is so well behaved. I didn't expect she was going to be so nice. Just kidding. Talking about Heather, didn't you? Teresa said, watch out, I'm concerned about Heather. All right, number 4, huge income opportunities. What are the limits on your financial success in the business of real estate? Unlimited. That's not too bad, is it? You think about the jobs people apply for, and they hate every minute of it. They sit in the cubicle, the boss they hate, boss hates them, they hate the boss, they hate what they're doing, and they say, by the way, you can earn up to, right? Wow, their sky is the limit. The only limit placed on our potential are what? It's us, right? The decisions, the choices we make, unbelievable. Guess what? Agents who are active in new homes, on the average, make more money than agents who aren't. Isn't that true? And most of us were. And you can think of many brokers said, you know what, you're right, I hadn't thought about it. But a good percentage of my top producers are doing something with builders, custom builders, something with new homes. We have folks out there producing very, very high levels, and I'll share examples of that with you as well. We are very proud of the fact that there was a national organization, they tapped into a database of about 80,000 real estate professionals across the U.S., and they went ahead and analyzed their commission income, their income, as well as their education level. And they found that those agents who have our designation, Certified New Home Specialist and Residential Construction Certified, average $53,000 more a year. Now, would anybody find that meaningful? I mean, yeah, 53 would be good. You could buy some new shoes, take a little vacation here and there. But
Maybe a
anyway,
new house.
pardon?
Maybe a new construction house.
There you go. Down payment on a beautiful new construction, or start building your own spec homes. There you go. I like the way you think, man. So, and why is that? Because as you start working in new homes, you have an opportunity to reach more people, tap in more people. As you start working in new homes, if you're representing a builder, you've got an opportunity to have more inventory and more listings instead of chasing one listing at a time. Even if it's a builder who's going to do 5 homes a year, how cool is that, right? And maybe it grows over time. So we'll give you examples, talk more about how that happens. Number 5, new home sales means more resale. Do you agree with that? All right, how is it your participation in new home sales helps drive more resale business? There you go. Yeah, they've got that contingent home. They've got that existing home to sell. They've got to get the equity out of there. Majority of people do. And so it's a sale of that existing home. So yes, sir.
Also, a lot of new home buyers are underrepresented.
Mm-hmm.
So if you retain them as a past client when they move, you'll just sell them.
Well, exactly. So this ends up rolling over, right? There's a number of different things. So another example of this, if you are marketing yourself as someone who's skilled and experienced in both new and existing homes, is it possible you might connect with more potential buyers? Is that possible? Absolutely. If you're doing that successfully, you're building relationships with builders, is it possible you have an opportunity to connect, build relationships, ultimately connect with more sellers of real estate? Sure, builders or resellers, they're serial sellers of real estate. Get to know them. Many times the folks buying new homes in a matter of just a few years are turning around and reselling those homes. Now, some folks are serial buyers of new homes. You ever seen that? If there's a new development, a new location, they often want to get in on the early phases. Why? Why would somebody want to do that? It just keeps appreciating over the phases. There are people I know who make it their business to get in as soon as they can get in on phase 1 of a new development in the right area. They do that. They sell their last home for a profit. They get in here. They watch the prices go up. They watch the development increase in value. a couple of years later. Sometimes those folks are flipping their new home before the builder's even done the development on the back end, right? So lots of opportunities there in building relationships. If you have expertise in both new and existing homes, it's like a secret weapon to allow you to position yourself in another way too. And a story I'll tell you real quickly is a couple that I knew. They were both followed all the resales. The husband, Peter, was before they were married at the time I met him. Peter was involved in new homes and existing. Helene was a top producer in resales. This is in New Jersey. We're doing training classes there. I believe they met in our training session. They fell in love and got married. How's that for, changing somebody's lives, right? Not too bad. And by the way, anybody, is there maybe a love connection happening here? I'm looking to see if any sparks are flying here in the room. But anyway, so Peter and Helene, they meet, they fall in love, they're focused more on new homes. They get tired of snow and the ice in New Jersey and they move to Scottsdale, Arizona. They didn't know anybody in Arizona. Have any of you just picked your business up and just moved it and started it over from scratch? Be tough, right? Be very, very difficult. Here's what they did. They went ahead and they bought a home right at the front door of a big area called McDowell Mountain Range. Some of you may be familiar with it. Big development there. Hundreds and hundreds of homes were going to be built. They got in kind of on the ground floor, one of the early phases, bought a home, and they started. Anybody do direct mail marketing? It's like old school, right? We're all tweeting, Facebooking, Instagramming. It's all good stuff. Guess what? Do you think direct mail can work?
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a few examples. They started creating a newsletter for McDowell Mountain Range. And in the beginning, it was just two sides of an 8.5 by 11. It grew over time. Last holiday, it was 22 pages. It got pictures of all kinds of events, and schedules, holiday schedules. They have advertising in there of local suppliers and vendors and restaurants. It's unbelievable. The most important thing is in 5 years, Peter and Helene was the face of the business, grew from not having sold 1 square inch of real estate in Phoenix, Scottsdale. She moved herself up to, was in the top 5 in the whole greater Phoenix, Scottsdale area. Today, she's been number 1 in that North Scottsdale market for 15 years, I think. And what was the secret? The secret is, in addition to just doing all the fundamentals we know how to do, they have expertise in both new and existing homes. People could come to them and find out everything that was happening, everything that was coming, sort through all the builders, compare that to new homes. As the community developed, they built a database of study plans and photos, and they know all the inventory in there. Does that make sense to you? And they took that expertise. Let me ask you a question. If my wife, Teresa, and I now, we're moving to your hood, right? This is where you do business, and this is, everybody better be doing business with me. We're moving to your hood. We're part of the 92% that want to work with a real estate professional. We're part of the 61% that absolutely want to buy a brand new home. We're moving to your hood, and I don't need a show of hands. Would we find you? We're looking for somebody who has absolute expertise in new homes. So your website's going to speak about new homes, speak about how you're going to help me as a prospective new home buyer, speak about your relationships with builders. There are going to be testimonials there talking about how you've helped other people saying, oh my gosh, I am so glad that I had Bob, because Bob pointed out various ways to control costs, negotiated this I never would have thought of, helped make me aware of some design features, blah, blah, blah. And I'll tell you, nobody should buy a brand new home without Bob's support, right? Or I shopped for a brand new home and ultimately bought an existing home, but if it wasn't for Bob's support. Does that make sense? All right, any of you think you could maybe sharpen up your game as it relates to that? Because guess what? We're ignoring only 1% of the market by not positioning ourselves. Just 61%. Do you want to ignore that, right? Why take that chance? All right, so new home sales means more resales. So by positioning yourself as an expert, right? By helping people with their contingent home sales. Another story I'll tell you real quickly I love is a woman by the name of Khadija Johnson. We met her back in how many years ago it was. But anyway, she went, it was 2005, 2006. And she had grown up as a little girl and was just in love with new construction. I don't know if you can relate to that. She'd see a new construction site. She'd say, hey, Mom, can you stop for a few minutes? I just want to watch what's going on. She'd take cool pictures with her camera. And anybody here love the smell of sawdust? Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. Your front, fresh cut red cedar, western red cedar. Oh boy. Anybody here love? Oh boy, that's the good stuff. Straight green Douglas fir. There you go, man. Anybody here love the smell of wet concrete? Wet concrete. Anybody like wet concrete?
Not bad.
Not bad. Okay, you get it. You get it. I always tell people that's the smell of money, baby. That's a new foundation going in. There's a piece of real estate we're going to sell over and over and over. That was Khadija. She loved construction. She grew up as soon as she got out of school. She says, I want to become a real estate professional. I want to sell new homes. And I want to work on construction projects. So she got out of school as soon as she could. She joined a local real estate company. And she gets started and she figures out about 6 months nobody knows anything about new homes. Her manager's not interested. Nobody's doing it. So she moves to another real estate company who said, yeah, we'll support you in that. They didn't know what they were doing either. And somewhere along the line, she found our training. And she took it entirely online, completed the course in a couple of weekends, called me up. She said, I just wanted to thank you so much. She said, what a labor of love. You have no idea how excited. This is exactly what I'm looking for. And so we had a little conversation. I said, Khadija, you keep in touch with me. I got a feeling about you. And she's this positive energy, right? I'll show you a picture of her later today. Anyway, what a doll. She goes on. She finds a project. Now, she's grown up in New York City, right? One of the boroughs there. She finds a project where they are building some condos. They've torn down some old stuff. And there's already a lead agent. She starts showing up every day. And she says, hey, can I just come in and just work as an assistant? And, you know, maybe you don't have to pay me a lot. You don't have to pay me anything. I just want an opportunity to get my feet wet and show you what I can do. And by the way, here's one of the secrets I share in our training. And this is called the magical power of donuts. You may want to jot that down. Or bagel, right? I had a massive project many years ago when I had my manufactured housing business, right? I landed a project. I came in. No, we're not interested. I came back every day with donuts and coffee. And if you don't have the donuts and coffee, they'll blow you off. But at least they'll hang around and eat the donuts and drink the coffee and talk with you. And you know, I ended up landing like a $20 million contract ultimately by not going away. Well, that's what Khadija did. She kept showing up. Finally, the developer said, "You're not going to leave. You're just going to keep coming back." She says, "Yes, I am." Right? He said, "All right, let me give you something to do." She now becomes an assistant. They're really excited about what she's doing. She's helping the lead agent. They get down to the point where they've got 3 or 4 units left. He moves the lead agent to another project, lets Khadija finish it up. She does a terrific job. He now gives her her own little project. She now calls me up one day and she says, I just got back from Philadelphia. And she says, I want to tell you this story. She says, this developer called me. I don't know if somebody else referred me or how it happened, but he called up and he said, I have an opportunity for you here in Philadelphia. I'm happy to fly you in. I'd like to interview you. He said, I've heard some good things about you. But I only will do this if you will consider it. In other words, if you like the opportunity, you'll move to Philadelphia. She says, oh, absolutely. If it's new construction, she says, I'd love to. So now, how many of you get home at the end of every day? You work some long days in the real estate profession. Don't you? You're up early, you're late. You get home, your significant other is waiting there for you. Kind of like a puppy, right? Just all happy to see you. Right? A little drink ready, you know, at the end of the day. And of course, the first question is, honey, how was your day? You want to know everything that happened. And can you imagine when you walk in the door and you say, well, I got a listing today. And they say, your significant other says, oh my God, that's so exciting. What's the listing? Can you imagine saying 800 luxury condos? What do you think of that? Wouldn't that be a good day?
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't be a bad day,
But we
right?
have to move to Philadelphia.
Right. We got to move to Philadelphia, right? Yeah. Which is like the story that you guys, some of you may have heard the story. The woman calls her husband up. And how's your day going? Unbelievable, she said. I listed and sold the Empire State Building today. Oh my God, Scott, what kind of a commission? I can't even, I ran out of numbers on the calculator. It's unbelievable. Oh my gosh, what are we going to do to celebrate? She says, well, I'm still figuring that out. She said, but I need you to start packing. He's hard. Am I packing for cold weather or warm weather? She says, I don't care what you pack for. She says, you just need to be out of the house by the time I get home. Isn't that a sweet story? Yeah. That's where you're done. Just kidding. Anyway, where the heck was it? So back to Khadija. So Khadija is now selling these 800 units. Right? I get a phone call from her now a couple of years later. She says, Dennis, I just got back from Las Vegas. I got invited to go to the Builders Association. They had an event there, and they invited me in. They called her up on stage, and they gave her an award. The #1 new home salesperson in the entire United States. Isn't that terrific? Here's this young girl, didn't know where to start. Tried to #1 new home salesperson in the nation. My favorite part, she said, Dennis, while I received my award, I put in a plug for you. She said, I'm Dennis Walsh, and I took this training. Very, very sweet. So a number of years later, I was speaking at the NAR convention, and they asked me to do a panel. So I had folks in from different areas of the country. Khadija came in, we were in San Francisco. She flew in from Philadelphia. The panel session was fantastic, an hour and a half. Everybody talking about how they do business, answering questions. At the end, I asked each of the panelists, could you share one idea with the group that you think is of value to them in their real estate business, something to consider? And this is what Khadija shared. You know, she said, one of the big challenges we have is very difficult, she says, to feel security as a real estate professional. You have to learn to overcome that, right? You're not going every day, the job's not waiting, and the boss can tell you what. You've got to create your own work and your own future and so on. Many of us thrive on that. But she says it's kind of tough. You don't have a sense of security. You're always chasing new leads and new listings. And she says, oh my gosh, I am so unbelievably thankful to have 800 units. She says, but honestly, you don't have to have 800 units, 10, 15, 20, growing your business, she says, it's great. She says, here's what I really love. She said, when I'm done with this project, I'm sure I'll have other opportunities, but if I don't, or if I choose not to go ahead, move again, or take on something else, all I have to do is open up a little office right around the corner from this community, and I can resell these 800 condos over and over for the rest of my career. Isn't that true? Another fella many years ago took the training. What I talk about is putting yourself at the front door of New Home's opportunity, right? That's exactly what Peter and Helene did, right? In McDowell Mountain Ranch. They put themselves right there at the front door. Well, this guy took it literally. So he went ahead and did the research. He found about an area near him where there was going to be all kinds of utilities were going in. There was going to be all kinds of new development. A bunch of builders were going to be building. And he went ahead, and before the wheels got turning, he found what I think was just kind of an old house. And I don't know if he leased it or he bought it, but it was essentially sitting right at a location where to get to the new area, you had to drive by this house, right? So he fixed it all up, got it all painted. Once the development activity started, he put a sign on top of that building. What did the sign say? It said New Home Information Center. So what do you think everybody did? Oh my gosh, let's stop into the New Home Information Center. And he had all the information. He had flyers and brochures and maps, and he knew all the product and all the builders. Do you think he grew his business? Unbelievable. Individual agents started bringing on different team members, and so he was an agent at that point. Today he owns his own brokerage. He has 200 and some agents, and New Homes is still the core of the business. It all started with putting yourself in the front door, right? Not fighting for a piece of the same pie. Baking his own pie. That's an example of baking your own pie. That sound good? Are you excited about this? How much fun are you having today?
So much fun.
That's what I'm hoping for. I'm trying so hard here. All right, how much fun would it be to take about a 5-minute break?
There we go.
So they could tear it down.
I'm feeling good energy in the room.
I'm sorry, I was.
The biggest conflict with reconstruction is that there is no unified governance.
Right.
There are homes on the MLS, but it is a chore to try and find all the different builders and all the different projects. People are not posting.
It is. It's a lot of legwork and so on. Once you build relationships with builder salespeople, you can kind of get them keeping you updated. But another thing I'd like you to check out, are you familiar with New Home Source? New Home Source. Check that out. It's a website. Check that out and see if they have data for your market area. I believe they do. And it's like an MLS for new homes community. Yeah. So see if you can find it. It might be a tool that'll at least help you.
I actually bought a few domain names that were specific to construction.
Good for you.
Just for the hope somebody maybe cover my own ones.
Well, I like the way you're thinking. Yeah. And and one of the things I normally mention is, if you hear about a new development coming through, buy some URLs up for the name of that. Create some landing pages, and then from those landing pages they can either request information or you can feed them to the new home section of your website. Use just fill out this form. We'll send you free design information.
I think some of the biggest problems that new home buyers trying to find projects that
Right. What's out there? What's coming?
there isn't a unified builders.
And even with that, a lot of markets, people will turn to the New Home Source, but they don't know really what's available now, what's coming down the line, how do they compare. And then on top of that, what they don't realize is if I find a good buyer, real estate professional. At no cost, I have someone looking out for my interests, right? Helping me sort through what do I need to ask, what do I need to watch out for? How do I know that there's not going to be any surprises while the home's under construction?
It's getting a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So So what you're doing is you start to position and market yourself. Okay. Yeah. So you're bringing buyers into the builder now. Teresa's going to talk about some ideas on how to do that as well. But that's it. You start to market yourself. Some people have buyers seminars. People start to market themselves in that respect. And the idea is, like, for example, I talked about the guy who put up the new home information center. The whole idea was just capture those buyers before they get to the builders, help them recognize, and if you know how to walk the walk and talk the talk, pretty soon they're saying, well, why would I pursue this on my own? When at no additional cost, I can have someone who knows this stuff looking out for me. Okay. So builders who are paid competitive co-brokerage. No, so they'll have their own agent who uses their base salary and the commission. That's the salaries. Most builders today do, they factor in there. And I always tell them, so it's usually, because if it's a good builder, it'll be a 2.5%, 3% commission. Sometimes they have bonuses on it.
Because that's so much healthier than that dessert out there. Bagel. It is a protein bagel.
Not that you work out at all.
Yeah.
So everybody's been very well behaved.
Sure, change that.
Especially, yeah, I'm gonna come, especially everything's downhill.
I can see that about you.
Okay, did I get everybody's license number so far? Did I miss anybody's license number? Okay, so what am I gonna do with you guys? Huh? What am I gonna do? I'm just kidding. I'll bring it.
Sorry, I kind of got sidetracked. Thanks for putting this together.
Okay, what's your license?
Right now, and like if I see I'll swing in.
All right, everybody ready to get back to work? Let's go. I know the breaks could always be longer, but I have so much to share with you. That's okay.
Let's get going.
It's all right if I talk faster than I was talking before now? Is that okay? Can you guys listen faster?
Doing good.
All right, let's go. We're going to get back to work here. We just talked about why there are opportunities in home sales. We'll continue as we go. Like I said, we talk about trends and different things. We're going to talk about opportunities, why there's opportunities. All right, so at the bottom of the page now, we're going to talk about what are the areas of opportunities in home sales. Okay. I appreciate that very much. Number one, I'd like you to jot down, if you will, builder representation. Teresa, did you have anything else, or you're good right now?
Well, I just wanna know, how's everybody doing? Is it still nice and cool in here? You guys
Nice.
good?
It's comfortable.
Yeah, I still see there's
No, you're there.
okay, which means.
More bagels, Dee. All right, so builder representation. So that's what we're talking about. We're taking on the sales and marketing for builders. Now, I want you to be aware that there's an awful lot of people out there who work with builders, people in real estate, oh, I've done builder representation. But in some areas, the builders will say, whoever brings us, let me close that door.
No, I'll
You sure? Whoever brings us a buyer, and that turns into a closed deal, gets the listing on my next home. Or in some cases, builders will say, whoever brings me a building lot will get the listing on the home that I build there, right? That's a listing perspective, a listing approach. And many people in resale think in terms of working with builder on that listing basis. What we do is in our training, we get in depth about the difference between a listing and a selling mindset. The idea that our goal is to build a relationship with a builder where we're helping he or she build their brand, build their business, determine what to build, where to build. We're putting together a long-term relationship as partners, right? To market those builders and help them grow their business successfully. So I teach you how to identify the right builders, how to interview the builders, how to go ahead and sell your services, how to bring value, how to help many small builders that have no clue how to truly build the right product, market effectively, how to grow their business. We help them through that process. Can you see the difference? That's how somebody helps a builder market and sell one home and grows that into 500 a year. That's how somebody, really grows a long-term business. Leon Johnson, I mentioned, the guy who got together with a builder, and the builder only built 4 homes. 2 years later, they built 68. Well, next thing you know, other builders are wondering, how the heck, what are you doing? So Leon takes on another builder, starts building a team. He eventually had a dozen builders, 22 agents on his team, and they were just building homes left and right. And Leon's job was to help them determine how to build the right house at the right place, in the right place, at the right time, get the right marketing message out to the right target market. And he did that very effectively by applying our strategies for market research, gathering market research, creating pricing, positioning strategies, creative marketing ideas, and so on. And so he created a machine. And next thing you know, he's working with developers and telling developers, I'll go ahead and bring good builders in here, help them determine what to build so you can sell your developments more successfully. And over time, Leon's business actually moved from just being a sales representative where he was partnering with developers, he was partnering with smaller builders and earning a percentage of profits, and grew his business dramatically. Question, here, I'll go through these real quick and we'll come back to that. Number 2, buyer's representation. So we've touched on that. How many of you think, on the basis of what we talked about, 61% of all active home shoppers are at least interested in wanting to explore the new home? How many of you think that it would make sense for you to position yourself not just as a professional who can help people buy an existing home, but someone who specializes in both new and existing? Anybody think that makes sense? What a great way to differentiate yourself, right? Instead of fighting for a piece of the same pie, you expand your potential market. Now let's say they get together with you and you spend 3-4 weeks, you explore new home opportunities, you kind of go through that, and they ultimately just say, thank you so much, but I think an existing home is going to make more sense for me, right? Timing, pricing, location, whatever it may be. Thank you so much for your help. I'm going to go find another agent to help you. Is that how it's going to happen? No, you're probably thinking, over my dead body. Right? And guess what? It's not going to happen that way because you've earned that right. So in many cases, it's a matter of helping them explore that. Again, it's part and parcel of the shopping experience. They ultimately say, it's not going to work out for me. That's fine. You're now right there at the front door. You help them buy an existing home. You help them sell their existing home. Right? Good stuff. Another example I wanted to give you real quickly about the whole idea of new home sales driving resales. That phenomenon I just talked about, as well as the sale of existing home. One of our most successful clients, I don't know how many years he's been a certified new home specialist. Sadly, he's down in Wilmington, North Carolina right now, where the hurricane is coming in pretty hard. And Tree is reaching out, trying to connect with him. Anyway, Keith Beatty's his name. Every year I see him at a national convention. And I always love to say, hey, introduce him to the group. Keith, how did you do last year? So this last year, I said, how did you and your team? He's got a whole team of folks. And Keith focuses on the new homes arena, has a number of different builders and developers he works with. How was your business last year? $103 million he did last year. That's not a bad year, right? You can't live on it, but it's not, So get you going. 103 million in sales. And I said, what percentage, Keith, of that 103 million were new homes and what percentage were resale? Because again, his focus is almost 100% working on the builders and the model homes and so on. He says it works out pretty consistently. 35% of that 103 million are the new homes. The balance is all existing homes. But what drives every penny of those resale homes? It's the new homes. It's people coming into the sales center, the models exploring that. It's ultimately some of them deciding an existing home's the way to go. So he's got a team of people that sit on site, people he refers out to help him with existing homes. It's referrals from other agents. He meets at the conventions. That kind of stuff comes in. It's the sale of existing homes to buy the new homes and all of that. So year after year, he grows his business. Hopefully this year he's still going to have something left there, right? If this hurricane doesn't hurt. But anyway, that's the kind of business we build, buyer representation, and all that leading to. Number 3, building lot sales. Have any of you done building lot sales? What a great way. If you have an opportunity to sell building lots. Now, this could be a lot split. It could be a parcel of land that's been overlooked, zoning's changed, or put a few pieces together, and you now do a lot split instead of one lot, it's 3, or it's 5. Okay? Do you think some builders might have some interest in that? Yeah, and you start marketing that. It could be a subdivision, 50, 100, 200. We have people out there marketing subdivisions, 200 plus lots. That's pretty exciting. I call it selling mud, by the way. If you ever had the experience, when you're out there, there's piles of mud and a road cut in the mud and stakes in the mud, and you're trying to convince people that in the middle of all this mud, their home ownership dreams will come true. So there's visualization challenges and so on, but there's all kinds of strategies that we have for you to do that. But here's the point. If you have building lots for sale, what a great way to build relationships, connect with new people. Or some of the people might reach out to you or stop by when you have building lots for sale. There's certainly builders, right? It's the number one bait to draw builders into the boat. So that's number one. Who else might have some interest? Well, potential homeowners. People are dreaming of building new homes that possibly happen here. You'll have other landowners who say, hey, you know what, I've got 5 acres or 50 acres. Is it possible your developer would be interested in that? Other opportunities maybe come up there. You'll find construction professionals, architects, engineers, land planners, tradespeople will come by wondering what's going on. Is there opportunity, right? So it's a great way to connect, to build relationships, to meet other people around the business. Now, just real quickly, I mentioned one of the big picture things I mentioned earlier today is that in addition to managing your day-to-day business, day-to-day transactions, putting out fires and follow up on that, I said in addition to managing transactions, we also should be doing what? Remember? Building a business, laying the groundwork. My question relative to this, and we'll talk about it again, but how many of you in your business plan, in addition to all the other things you're doing, have also carved out time? Every single week you've got a block of time, an hour here, an hour there, that's about maintaining and building new relationships. Are you doing that? And if you aren't, you're not taking your business to the highest level. You need to do that. Keep in touch with your sphere of influence. It's just a quick phone call. It's a text message. You know, I ran into you last week. Sally was in the soccer finals, right? How did it go? You know, Tommy was sick. I understand he was missing from school. Right? Whatever it is, just keep in touch with people just to keep in touch, not because you need something. And then are you getting yourself put into situations where you meet new people, open up new doors, and particularly people who are active in the business of real estate, right? That makes sense? And if that's not part of your plan, you need to say, hey, I need to make that part of my plan, because if you look at folks who are most successful, you'll find they're really great at what they do. But the other element is the more relationships you've established, the more people who know who you are and what you do, the more people you can turn to for an answer, an introduction, the higher level you're going to take your business. Okay, so we'll talk about that. So building lot sales, help make that happen. Has anybody here pursued raw land sales? Have you done that? All right. Yes, sir.
Well, kind of. I'm under contract on some all that.
Good. Now, how did it come about? Did you find it, or did somebody come to you? Or
I told my brother we need to build something. So we put an offer on 20 acres.
Very good. So instead of being a waiter, you're being a creator. You're kind of creating your new opportunities. That's what I'm talking about. And of course, a lot of light bulbs gone off for a lot of people who said, you know what? I never thought about the raw land end of it. And yours is an example. I talk to more and more people saying, you know what? I found a raw land opportunity. I'm going to go ahead and buy it, or I'm going to option it, and then I'm going to turn around and I'm going to say to builders, listen, if you'd like to come in and build on my land or in my development, guess what? I'm going to market your homes for you, right, and help you in that respect. We've had people go out, like I said, just one of my favorite stories just recently. We were at a national convention this year in Vegas, and a guy I see almost every year, his name's Rick Gerke, and he's in Idaho, I think. Nicest guy. So he'd been pursuing new homes, took our training a while back, and he said, Dennis, can I get up in your session and just share a little quick story? I said, absolutely. He's a good speaker. And he says, you know, one of the things Dennis talks about is the fact that when he shares opportunities, he helps you put things on your radar you wouldn't notice otherwise. And he said, that's exactly what happened to me. He said, there was a piece of property. He said, I've been driving by this property for 15 years. And honestly, it's an ugly piece of property. It was just a mess. I never really thought much about it. But suddenly my curiosity was up. I'm thinking, maybe there's an opportunity here. And of course, meantime, the other agents in the office, and they're waiting for the phone to ring. They're waiting for the market to get better, and they're complaining, geez, what do we have to do to get some more inventory here? And so Rick decides to look into who owns this land and some details on it. But before he pursues that, what he does, he gets together with some buddies he had met, using the advice, which I'll give you in just a few minutes, who do land planner, subdivision, land planner, planning, design work. And they took him to lunch, and they just had some scratch paper, and he had a little bit of a basic site plan of this particular parcel. And he said, what would you do with this parcel? And Rick had looked into the zoning. He talked to the zoning inspector, got some information. And he leaves lunch, he's got a little sketch, just like a little preliminary idea. And Rick says, all right, that looks cool. Let me see what I can do with this. He now finds out digs into who owns it. Two brothers who live in Hawaii. Two young guys, they get up every day and all they do is surf. And he somehow figures out how to track them down, gets them on the phone, and he says, hey, are you guys possibly interested in selling this property that you own here in Idaho? And he said, what property? They had no idea. They didn't inherit it. They had no idea it existed. So he told him a little bit about it. He said, is it worth anything? And Rick says, I think it is. I'm trying to figure that out right now. Well, could you sell it for us? And he says, absolutely. So he's now got a listing agreement. All they wanted was more money to buy some more surfboards, and that was it. And so Rick gets to work. Now, what would be the next step? He's got a listing agreement signed. He's got a piece of land. He's got a little bit of an idea what to do. What would be the next step most people do? Well, most people, I think, would say, let's go ahead and put up some signs. Let me list it. Right? And let's just see if there's any interest. See what happens.
Find out the highest and best use.
Yeah, then we're going to come to that, the highest and best use. So, and that's part of what he's trying to determine. What Rick decided to do was, instead of me just putting it up for sale and seeing what happens, again, the route most people take, he now gets together with a builder developer, somebody he'd met. Again, I'm going to tell you how you do that. A builder developer guy he met. He had that little sketch from the land planner, and he sat down. He talked about it, and here's what happened. They decided to go ahead and work together. Of course, Rick says, "Look, I'm not interested in just flipping a piece of property, or just." He says, "I want to play a role in developing this, getting approvals from the city, determining what we're going to build there, marketing the whole project. That's where the home run is, right? You could go ahead and do raw land and hopefully get a listing and sell some land, and that's step one. But step two, really baking your own pie, is going through the whole long run, right? So what they did, they decided, so they got the approvals. Here's what they built. The way this property was set up, they went ahead and cut a street in and a big cul-de-sac that had big open green area. Open green areas where you could run with your dog, throw footballs and things like that. They built 24 luxury condos around the circle. In the front, created a beautiful entrance. They put some commercial building up that was like office retail. Rick was a partner. He became a partner in the ownership of those buildings. Then they lease out. So he said, I have now created kind of the foundation of my retirement that ultimately, some down the line, quite a few years down the line, I can sell my interest in that. How many think that's kind of cool? Right? He had the listing on all 24 luxury units. He double-ended most of them. He did participate with other agents, but he double-ended most of those. So he got two sides. Any of those he double-ended. Pretty much all of those he got the contingent sale on their existing home. What do you think? See so when I'm talking about creating your own pie, does that make sense? Is there anybody here who's interested in that? You know, and again, you can wait for the phone to ring. You can wait for good things to happen, doing everything. But most folks seem to be, that's their business plan. Boy, I hope something great happens today. Right? In the meantime, I'm saying, get up and make something great happen today. You and I talked about having a, you just talked about, it's Bill, right? Bill just said, you get up every day and decide whether you're going to have a positive outlook on your life or a negative outlook. And it impacts everything that happens. It impacts how your day goes. It impacts whether you see those opportunities, right? And there's so many opportunities around us. Again, you have to redefine yourself. You have to reposition yourself. What I'm suggesting is a lot of people in the business of real estate are going to be left in the dust with a world that is changing very, very quickly. What I'd like to suggest is many of us resist change. We have a hard time moving out of our comfort zone. That's a natural thing, isn't it? What I'd like to suggest is you redefine for yourself that you are more uncomfortable staying in your comfort zone. That if you're not pushing yourself outside your comfort zone a little bit every day, that should make you uneasy. Does that make sense to you? Because the rest of the world's not sitting still. And we want you to keep moving forward. The beautiful thing is the disruptors, the technology, all that kind of stuff, it's great stuff, but they can't do what you do. They can't do what Rick did there. They can't do the kinds of things that I'm talking about doing. Isn't this exciting?
Yeah.
All right. I see many of you. I see smoke coming out of some of your ears. So that's a good thing. I know it's a good sign. Okay, land development. We've had some of our folks have actually gotten into the land development business. Again, it could be a lot split. Could be taking a parcel and turning it into three, and suddenly you're a developer and you're selling those off. Maybe you're selling off. The builders are going to let you go ahead and list those homes. Number 6, home building. Okay. Some of us got into the business of home building. I'm going to show you a picture later on of a guy, Casey Shermack, who sat in class just like all of you, and he's listening to me, and he's trying to figure out his Dennis Walton, what he's talking about. Casey had only been in real estate for about a year and a half. But he back then even recognized, he says, I just want to find a way not to be competing with everybody else in real estate. I want to find a way to go ahead and maybe turn a different direction. I thought new homes might be it. He started working with smaller builders and larger builders, and he started working and selling land and lots and developments. And eventually, I watched his kids grow up, and he's up in a little town called Wayzata, Minnesota. Wayzata, Minnesota. It's a pretty little place right on Lake Minnetonka. And he started his own building company. Just on the side, he continues to sell real estate, but he owns a little building company called Pillar Homes. He sometimes does $20 million plus in new home building through his building company, in addition to his resale business. Now, during the Great Recession, by the way, do you think there were any opportunities during the Great Recession to be making money in the new homes arena?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And you know what? New home building came to a screeching halt. The economy came to a screeching halt. And all kinds of, sadly, lots of folks in the business were losing everything and losing their homes and couldn't find business, right? KC had some of his best years ever. What we did is we shared. Do you think that would be a good time during the Great Recession for somebody to build a custom home? Why might that have been a good time? Lot cost, like a fire sale with lot cost. Building lots were sold for, in some cases, for less than the raw land price. Lenders were taking back developments and selling off lots, right? You could buy land cheap. Labor was cheap. Builders were looking for work. Materials prices were down. It was like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. A lot of our certified new home specialists had some of their very best years during the recession because they were marketing that to the majority of people who were still working, had good financial stability. There were tremendous opportunities. So opportunities are always out there. Anyway, home building. Finally, number 7, infill building and development. Are you all familiar with this term, infill building and development? Most people aren't. I've been sharing this for many, many years now. The last 5 or 6 years, this has really resonated with a lot of folks. As we move into trends, I'm going to dig into this a little bit more in depth. I think it's one of the most exciting areas of opportunity. This is about tear downs and rebuilds. It's about taking down older properties. Do you have any areas where you see that? They're taking down older stuff and building newer stuff. And in those locations where people say, I'd really like to live here, but everything's old, maybe we have opportunities to rebuild. Okay, so we'll talk about that when we dig into a little bit further, and I'll give you some examples there. All right, so the next question I have for you is anybody here active in your local home builders association? Anybody? How many are active in your local home builders? You're attending local home builders association meetings? Anybody doing that? And a lot of people say, I didn't know I could do that. How many of you think that might enhance your real estate? Okay, So who is at those meetings? You start attending meetings. So you join the Home Builders Association. You join as associate member, okay? And yes, it costs money. And I know somebody's thinking, I don't need more meetings. Plenty of those. But who's there? Who do you have a chance to connect with? And they have award ceremonies. And they have speakers come in, and do they do parades of homes here? Yeah, parades of homes are coordinated by the Home Builders Association. And if you join, I often highly recommend you look into something called the SMC, the Sales and Marketing Council. Okay? And so if you go to those events and you're involved in this stuff, who do you have a chance to rub elbows with, build relationships? So certainly builders, developers, builders, salespeople, right? And by the way, one little side, a lot of builders, salespeople, on-site salespeople are not allowed to sell resale homes. Isn't that true?
Yes.
And yet they have clients come in all the time who need to sell an existing home to buy a new home. Is there possibly an opportunity for you if you build a relationship with that on-site salespeople? Yeah, a lot of folks, and particularly if you understand new homes and you're bringing buyers in and you're building a relationship with those people, a lot of people gain a tremendous amount of referral business. But anyway, back to the Builders Association meeting. If you were a builder and you were ever going to consider the idea of hiring a real estate professional to work with you, wouldn't you first turn to somebody who's become a friend, a familiar face, part of the club? Absolutely. So it's a hotbed of opportunity. That's where Leon Johnson met Jay Hassman. He would have never connected with him otherwise. Started hanging out at the Builders Association meeting, just hanging out, visiting and talking, and eventually moved that down another road. We have had tens of thousands of people over there who have said, well, the best thing I ever did was join the Builders Association. I started connecting with people, pursuing new opportunities, developers. Who else is there, by the way? So builders, we have developers. Who else is there? Okay, good. Yeah. Zoning, building, community planners, maybe politicians who are interested in development and making those connections. Very good. So you've got those relationships. Who else? I'm guessing Heather wouldn't mind at the Builders Association, builders and all the folks there walking around and seeing Century 21 Everest badges, right? You wouldn't mind that at all. Because what we're doing, we're showing the building community, developing community, that we're there to support them. We're part of the club. This is part and parcel of who we are and what we do. See, our goal here is to help this organization. The goal is you've got to get behind this, right? Heather can't do it. Randy can't do it. You've got to go out there and learn this stuff. Start opening these doors. Start building this business. With the idea, can you imagine how cool it would be if builders and developers and potential home buyers, this becomes the go-to company? It's like, hey, if you're interested in new homes, Century 21 Everest, that's who we turn to. They're the experts. That makes sense? You've got that opportunity. I don't think anybody else has taken that ball and run with it. All right, again, who else is at these Builders Association meetings? You guys come up with a few good things. There's architects, land planners, engineers. There are attorneys that specialize in construction law, and they specialize in working with builders and developers. Are these good people to know? Absolutely, and they have clients. I had an attorney who represented me as a builder, and I got to know so many other builders and developers and architects and engineers and opened up all kinds of opportunities. You have people in the world of finance. They provide acquisition and development funds. You have lenders that do construction loans, construction permanent loans. Are these good people to know? Yeah, absolutely. And you develop personal one-on-one relationships. There are suppliers there supply windows and doors and siding and roofing. Would that be helpful to your business? My gosh, you get a home inspection and the buyer says it's going to cost $40,000 to repair the roof, and you think they're out of their mind. You now turn to one of the guys who sells more roofing materials to professional roofers in SLC than anybody else, and he says, let me get somebody out there, and about an hour later, you've got a bid from a top contractor for half that price. Would that be helpful in your business? These are the kinds of things we need to do sometimes to keep wheels on the deals, right? To make this stuff happen. Heating contractors, plumbing contractors, carpenters. Would it be helpful to know some of these people? And if they are folks you develop personal relationships with, sometimes you're in a pinch and you need to get something done. Is that going to help? Yeah. And then I talked about working with the right builders. Can you imagine? Hey, I've been trying to get next to ABC Builders. Hey, no problem. We supply their lumber, windows, doors. 20 years we've been working with them. How about if I invite you both to lunch, or I'll make an introduction right now? Or you say, I've been trying to get next to XYZ Builders, and they say, run the other way. They're crooks.
So you're more reputable builders tend to be in those places.
You tend to have the more reputable builders active in the Builders Association. There's a cost to them. There's time involved. But they care about their professionalism. All right, does that all make sense to you? Okay, so Builders Association, one of the great investments. I can't tell you how many stories. Oh my gosh, never forget this young guy from Arkansas. Went to the Builders Association, joined, had no idea. Was only in real estate 6 or 8 months. Took our training. I'm in San Francisco. I'm at a convention, and this tall, skinny kid, I can remember, the tall, skinny kid comes up, throws his arms around me. I'm thinking, wow, man, these guys are friendly in San Francisco. I love it here. You know? And it turns out it was this guy had taken our training, and he went ahead, he joined the Builders Association. He landed 172 unit subdivision. So there's a guy there that belongs to his church. He had no idea the guy was a developer. He starts up some conversation. Next, 172 unit subdivision. That's not bad, right? Wouldn't that be kind of nice? All right. All right, talking about trends. Are you ready for trends? This is so fun, the trends part. I love this part. And the whole idea, again, is as we go through trends, we're going to talk about trends you're already aware of, trends that have been happening, new trends. We're going to talk about this all in terms, again, of opportunity. Because my goal here, again, today is not to teach you how to go out, all the nuts and bolts of doing this stuff. It's to get you to think in terms of how important is this to my business? Is this something I want to commit to? Because you've got a lot of opportunities to source from, right? And some of you may walk out of here and say, wow, this is really great stuff, but it's not for me. And that's fine. But many of you might say, wow, what a great way to grow my business, to build long-term success, right? Make cool things happen. All right, so as we talk through trends, hopefully you'll understand more of the opportunities and come to some of those conclusions. First thing we have is the aging of America. Now, these are not in order of significance. We're just going to kind of dig into things. How many of you are aware that we have a larger segment of older Americans than we've ever had in the history of this country? Pardon? The baby boomers, massive segment. Most of us baby boomers now moving into retirement age. How many of you were shocked to find when you turned 55, you were suddenly considered a senior? Doesn't seem right, does it? Doesn't seem right, but that's the way the world. So we're talking about seniors housing. Who else is a big segment? So we've got the baby boomers. Who else is a big part of this senior segment? It's the parents of the baby boomers, right? Another massive segment of folks. Huge demographic segment. And why are there so many more of even the older Americans? Why? People are living longer and healthier. We have advances in medicine, right? A buddy of mine just had a surgery where normally recovering from the surgery is the hardest part, right? Because they cut you all wide open. They just go in with robots now. Have any of you had that done? Yeah, the doctor's sitting. It's like he's playing Xbox. He's on the computer. Right? And I'm picturing these little robots with little wall drills and so on. They do their thing, out they come, a couple of holes in you, and you're on, next day you're on your feet. So pretty cool stuff. One little aside here as it relates to that is, how many of you feel coffee is an important ingredient to success as a real estate professional? It's usually, okay, all right, so coffee is an important ingredient. The studies, though, go back and forth. Coffee's good, coffee's bad. Well, the biggest study ever done over 25 some years, usually about 6-8 months ago, they came out with the results. They said coffee, up to 5 to 6 cups of coffee a day can be good for you. Did you know that? And I know some of you will still have to cut back a little from that. But 5 to 6 cups of coffee. And here's what they found. They found that a number of other benefits. It actually helps you regenerate your liver. Did you know that? See where I'm going with this, right? All right, well, keep going. All right. Anyway, back to the aging of America. How many of these folks are living in homes right now that are ideal for their needs? More majority are not. They're living in homes where they've raised their kids. They're climbing stairs. The yard's too big. Pardon? Yeah, the empty nesters. Maybe they live in an area that's a little further out from where it would be more convenient. Services, amenities, and things like that, right? So there is almost an unlimited need for seniors to have new housing. Now, seniors, are they a fast sale, real easy to move? No. It can be a slow, painful process. Do they have the financial wherewithal to do it?
Yes.
Yeah, so on the average, we have different segments. Like on the average, it's said that 70% of all the wealth in America is in the hands of 55 plus. That's a lot of money. There's a lot of folks there who do have the capability to do it if we can convince them, if they have the right opportunity. There really is a shortage of ideal inventory to meet their needs. This presents unbelievable, almost unlimited opportunity. More and more big builders are getting into it on our homes. So are they active in your area? They have their next gen homes designed for seniors and go through those phases of life. We have more builders, large and small, who are moving into creating seniors housing that in many cases is a step living environment. I'm familiar with this. We first move in of independent living, then some form of assisted, and then full support. When you see those kinds of communities come to the market, how long do they take to sell out? They're usually sell out before they're done building them. There's really unlimited opportunity. So my question is for some of you, is it possible, instead of waiting for somebody else to bring some new inventory to the market, maybe I can sell a few, is it possible you might go ahead and get together with investor, builder, developer, do the research, identify some property somewhere, check, confirm the zoning, and say, let's work together to bring some seniors housing, bring a seniors community. And I'm going to play a role through the whole process in helping determine what we're going to build, handle the sales and marketing, and I have the support of the Century 21 organization worldwide. We've got people all over the world doing high-end, sophisticated new home marketing, doing this kind of stuff. I can tap into a national marketing department for guidance and resources that's second to none. Isn't that true? So it's not just you, it's right, hi, I'm Dennis Walsh, and I think, can I help you with this? I am backed by one of the most powerful organizations on the planet Earth to help you succeed in this arena. Isn't that cool? Yeah, so working on stuff like that, great opportunities. Back to the fact that they kind of move slowly. It's a slow process, right? One woman said, Dennis, that is so true. She said, I have these older buyers. I've been driving around my car for 3 years. 3 years, in buying. That's why I have a few thoughts for you. Number one, somebody hasn't bought anything for 3 years. I wouldn't be calling buyers. Okay, maybe you need to redefine that in your mind, right? And I said, but here's the problem. The problem is you become their hobby. That's what's happening. It's like, hey, honey, what are we doing next week for fun? Oh, let's call Bill, man. He'll take us to lunch and show us houses. He always has new jokes. He's funny. Yeah. That's not my job, right? That's not my job. The truth is, there are strategies around this. Are you all familiar with Del Webb Corporation? Anybody familiar with Del Webb? Go to delwebb.com. Check it out. They are the ones who for years and years did the Sun Cities. They know seniors like no one else. Pulte Corporation acquired them, I don't know, maybe 5-7 years ago for their expertise. It's DEL, and it's WE, I think it's 2 B's, WEBB, but even if you misspell it, you'll find Del Webb, it's a big company. And go to their website and take a look at their marketing. Now, in their marketing, would you expect that they're focused on floor plans and construction details as far as their sales approach? What's their focus? It's lifestyle. It's lifestyle. It's about living in this community and the new relationships and the friendships and the activities and all this kind of stuff. So check it out. Del Webb, if you've ever visited Del Webb community, you are barely out of the parking lot and you're getting emails and you're getting letters in the mail and they're inviting you back. Now, what are they inviting you back for? Anything they can think of. A summer barbecue, Monday night football, card parties. They have more activities now. We've got the wall, rock climbing game, and, more active seniors. But the whole idea is anybody who has expressed any interest, they invite you back to start integrating, number one, getting comfortable with the community and the amenities and what it's like, and start getting the prospects blended in with existing homeowners. That makes sense? Start building relationships. It's like, hey, when are you and Tammy going to go and move in and become part of the development, right? And so they know that they have to overcome that resistance, that that social aspect that's important. That makes sense to you? So that's where you look at marketing and say, all right, how do we overcome the challenges of market segment? All right, so that's the aging of America. Tremendous unlimited opportunities. Increased household formation. So you're all familiar with the term household formation. Before the Great Recession, 1.3 to 1.4 million households were formed every year in America. What happened during the Great Recession? Household formation dropped like a rock. We had a number of years, less than 300,000. So we were losing 1 million household formations a year. What we actually had going on, I call it reverse household formation. Is it true? We had people moving in together, didn't we? That normally would have lived on their own. And these people often didn't like each other. They're now moving in together. And where are a lot of those folks right now? Well, some are in prison probably, but a lot of them are still there living together, and they like each other even less now after living with each other for a number of years. So the question I have is, if we were losing about 1 million household formations a year for a number of years during the Great Recession, right? Did those household formations, did they just dry up and blow away? They're still there. Many of them, more than ever before, want to get out, but what's holding them back? The good news is financing is now more readily available. Unemployment is down. We actually have real wage growth we haven't had in years. So we've got a lot of positives, but the one factor is what? Inventory, isn't it? Inventory is a challenge, and of course it's driven costs and affordability up. So builders and the market continue to work on solutions there, right? But increased household formation. My point is this: we are in a time now where there is more of a pent-up demand and desire for household formation. Builders can build at pretty much peak capacity for literally decades, and we are still going to have a desire for more homes. Is that true? New inventory has to come from builders. Anybody here familiar with the Harvard University Joint Center for Housing Studies? Familiar with that group? If not, I highly recommend you jot that down. I know it's kind of a mouthful. Harvard University Joint Center for Housing Studies. So Harvard University Joint Center for Housing Studies. You know, you have your clients ask you, hey, what's happening in real estate? What's happening in the area? What do I need to know? And you all have your data, and I'm sure the company provides you with projections and stuff, and you have your own idea what's happening in your hood and what's coming. But it's also cool to be able to say, and by the way, on top of that, the Harvard University Joint Center for Housing Studies, respected throughout, economists and real estate researchers and investors and all kinds of people, as pretty much the number one source for housing data and projections. They have not only national data but regional data. Here's what they have to say about this greater area and what's happening. So that extra data, that extra information, your ability to share that helps you kind of differentiate yourself. Make sense? Okay. Harvard University Joint Center for Housing Studies puts out what they call the Future of Housing Studies periodically. Their most recent said that from the year 2018 to the year 2028, this country was going to need somewhere in the range of 1.4 million new homes a year just to barely keep up with household growth. So household formation is back up to that 1.4 million level. But that's not scratching the surface on the pent-up demand. Isn't that crazy? So what's happening? How are builders doing it? Well, labor's a big challenge, right? I was at a builder show and I saw a demonstration of a machine, a robot that lays block. Have you ever seen that? Ever hear about this yet? They set up the job site with a bunch of block. They've got the footers for it. And you come back 24 hours later and the whole foundation is in place. And it's perfect. It's to the 1/8 of an inch accuracy. And the work that's done would be the work that would take a crew of 6 to 7 physical laborers a week to do. Isn't that cool? If any of you have seen 3D printing used for building houses and structures, building these massive, that kind of stuff's going on. More factory-built housing. In our RCC training, I'm going to talk about a factory walls building system that I had many years ago. We were doing panelization and prefabrication. Well, I was a little bit ahead of my time. Just recently, a company raised $1 billion worth of venture capital in California to build a factory to create modules and things like that. So all these things are happening to help builders meet that demand. And my message to you is there's probably never been a better time in the history of real estate, right, and new construction for you to be planting your flag as a new home specialist. Does that make sense? And aren't you excited about it? Yes. That's what I'm talking about. All right, real quick question. How does household formation come about? And I know many of us haven't maybe thought through it, but what's the most common way a new household's formed? Marriage, right? So I'd like you, if you will, jot down marriage/coupling, because not everyone's getting married, but they're moving in. So two people move out of on the dad's house, form a new house, right? So that's pretty much the most common way. What is the opposite of marriage? Right. I said that. I asked her, what's the opposite of marriage? One woman, without even hesitation, what's the opposite of marriage? She said, love and happiness. I said, come on. That's a little cold, but it takes us where we're going. Peace and tranquility. Yeah, peace and tranquility, right? Yeah. Freedom. So put divorce/uncoupling. I think is the best answer there. How else is the household formation come about?
Increased size of home.
Well, what happens is if the family stays together, it's still one household. Okay? But that certainly is It's a driver for moving and a driver for more inventory and all those things. So it's you're not totally off base. It's when young people move out on their own. So they live in so they create, right, a new household. Has anybody found it's a little more difficult these days to get young people to move out on their own? You had that experience?
Yeah.
It's like, dude, come on. Don't you think it's time to just spread your wings? You know, get out on your own, explore the world. You're 47 years old. You know, maybe time to yeah, that's what's happening today.
Failure to launch.
What's that?
Failure
To launch, exactly. That's a good example. And the last category is immigration. People come from different parts, finally pursuing the American dream, right? It's the way this country was built. So those are the sources of household formation. And so this is what all the researchers, Harvard University folks, they study all this and they go ahead and determine what kind of a demand we need. All right, increase in multi-generational households. Have any of you seen a need or a desire in this arena? Have any of you had clients who are looking for a home that's ideal for the young family, but also space for mom and or dad? Yeah. And how much inventory do you have that's ideal for that? Almost nothing. Yeah, not a lot. Many may be surprised. What percentage of households in America currently right now are multi-generational? It's 20%. 20%, that's a big number. Would you expect that number is going to increase or decrease or stay the same? It's going to increase. We have this massive segment of older Americans. In many cases, you know, mom and dad could easily afford their own new housing solution, but guess what? The family wants to all be together and you can help with the grandkids. And then we have a whole segment of older Americans, sadly, for many reasons, who don't have the retirement savings. And they have housing needs as well. So we've got all these changing needs going on out there. Our son Christian, I'm going to talk about him a little bit. Our son Christian has been in real estate. He decided to get into real estate in 2010. He thought that was the ideal time now because he worked with us in our business and knew a lot about it. But he decided, how was his timing in 2010 getting into real estate? Oh my gosh! It didn't feel that way in the beginning. It didn't feel. We had candles lit 24/7 for him, right? But he has just done really tremendous. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But at one point, so then his wife, our daughter-in-law Stephanie, real doll, she went ahead and quit her job. They worked together in business. And not long after that, they had some clients coming in from out of the country who were interested. We're so Christian's right in Newport Beach, Huntington Beach, Aliso Viejo, Mission Viejo, Point, all those areas. These clients were interested in Corona Riverside, and they wanted to bring it in. So Christian and Steph went out one day, and they just would explore everything they could find out there. So when folks came into town, they could show them. They came back, and they said, you're not going to believe it. We stumbled onto a development where the builder is building homes with 8 to 10 bedrooms. Can you see anything like that? 8 to 10 bedrooms?
Is there a farm out
Possibly.
back?
Huh?
Is there a farm out back?
Yeah, no. So this is about, they look like nice mansions, and they said these are designed for multi-generational families. But was interesting in talking to salespeople, they said a number of the homes are actually purchased by, say, two brothers, their wives, their kids, some in-laws. So it's almost like a little village. And it may be somebody who says, hey, that's the way we grew up in the old country, and the family wants to be together. So what do you think? I mean, are builders building that kind of product? Or much of that kind of product? Yeah. We have a lot of builders in California building homes with casitas. Do you use that term, casitas? Or just granny? Yeah. Carriage house. We're in Pittsburgh. They call them granny pods. Yeah, granny pods. That's kind of interesting. But while we're on this topic, so tremendous need in this area. So we have custom homes that are built for the purpose of having a section for the younger family, a separate section for mom and dad. The other thing I'd like you to jot down, you're all familiar with the term ADU. ADU. If not, jot that down. 3 capital letters, ADU. It stands for accessory dwelling unit. Accessory dwelling unit. Big, all kinds of conversation. Big trend nationwide. Some bigger cities are adopting this. In some areas there's resistance. Excuse me. The whole idea is a small accessory unit. Excuse me. That could be an in-law suite. It could be Airbnb. Your grown children could live there and rent it, whatever. And the idea is that this unit can be put on a single-family property without all kinds of additional codes and expenses and impact fees. You don't have to have extra parking and so on. So the idea is a very streamlined process to make it affordable. The city of San Francisco, Washington State, there's a big push throughout the state of Washington. We see it in more and more areas. Are you familiar with this law or no? EDUs?
Yeah, it's going on up in Park City.
Okay, up in Park City they're doing it? Okay.
There's actually a couple of new houses in this mountain.
Okay.
Older ones that actually were like religious houses or something.
Okay.
They're being used that
Okay, so we're starting to see more and more. There's a big national push. There's actually an organization. You're familiar with the term NIMBY? Not in my backyard, right? It's where people just resist any kind of development growth. There's actually a group they call themselves YIMBY. Yes, in my backyard. And they're focused on trying to provide affordable housing and pushing for this. So what I'd suggest you do is kind of look into zoning and planning and see if there's anything around that, because I'm telling you, it creates investment opportunities. Investors going in and buying properties, putting ADUs on them and turning around and flipping them for profit. The ADUs in many cases are modular units. And there's actually companies out there who are starting to build these modular units. You prepare the foundation, provide utilities, they boom them in place, and they offer financing to allow you to buy it over time, pay it off with rental. Did you have, I'm sorry, you
I was going to say, we're seeing more of that in the Salt Lake Valley.
Okay.
Cities lightening up on their, working families in a house for affordability. Things
Great.
like kitchen where they haven't been able to do before, but there still are some things with additional parking.
Yeah. Some of those, so, which you understand, because it often affects the entire community as well.
I was just in California recently, and I was in Las Vegas.
Okay.
And a lady had put a container house in her backyard for her college age kids.
Perfect. And you can see where
They had
zoning.
one for the daughter, and
That's
then
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they have-
Yeah, the container housing is
At
getting.
Creekside, there's City Creek, they have a, one there, and they're about $100,000.
Okay,
It's
interesting.
like 70 grand, it's 70 grand per container.
Well, and you know Amazon is selling houses, right? You were?
Houses now.
Amazon selling, they sold out, whatever, they had something on. So there's a lot of energy around this, a lot of factory build housing.
The ADUs, we just have one requested in our neighborhood, and it's even for an accessory dwelling, like basement apartment.
Okay.
And that, I guess, I wasn't thinking, because the parking is probably the issue.
Mhm.
When they're saying we wanna put a downstairs door, we wanna use it as an apartment, that probably the issue is more, we wanna let the neighborhood know that they're allowed to come and say, we don't wanna put parking.
Yeah, that's, there are a couple of sides. So one is just the impact on the neighborhood, and typically it's parking is number one thing, or if they're loosening up sideline restrictions, and one neighbor suddenly sees a structure out there, right out their window. So that resistance there. And then there's the whole Airbnb thing, where some communities are fighting that because they're figuring that people coming, there's two sides of the community, is not getting the taxes and fees they get out of hotel rooms. They want that money. But anyway, look into it. Those opportunities are out there. So and it's more of a regional, local thing. All right, now some more trends here. Decline in married households. I don't know if you're aware of this. And one of the reasons I bring this up is many builders, small builders in particular, who aren't so in tune with what's happening as far as demographics and trends, think that still the most common house in America is what I call the Aussie period house, right? Mom and dad, married, 2.4 kids. And so they're still building that kind of product, seeing that. Reality was, it was 1958, I believe, was when the tipping point, when married with children became less than 50% of all homes in America. It's continued to decline. We have an increase in one-person households. So part of that, of course, is due to the fact that we have this growth in the seniors market. And so we have, Teresa's father passed away before her mother, and her mother lived on her own. My father passed away before my mother, the same thing, and then they have changing housing needs. You also have a lot of young people today who are they're waiting longer to get married, or they're just not interested. They're just going to go ahead and stay single and enjoy that life. And so you've got more single-person households, and these are often markets that have maybe targeted needs in many areas. They often want to live in a close-in downtown urban active area, that sort of thing. Number 6, an increase in single women households. So this is a trend that's been going on for a while. 40% of all rental housing in America, 40%, are single women living without children. That's a big segment. But many of the segment want to move into home ownership. you'll find this interesting. Last year, of all housing sold, somewhere between 18 and 20%. I found 2 studies. 18 to 20% of all households sold were single women, okay, with and without kids. That's a big segment. Right?
I was single for 6 years, and
Okay.
I lived in a townhome, all townhomes on
Mhm.
the street, and we called it Single Mom Road. It was just
Right. Right.
I
And so-
swear for like at least 3/4 of the block, we were
Okay.
all single moms.
And the point is that people like to be with alike, and if you're in an area where the kids can play together and maybe there's amenities and services that make that easier. And here's interesting, again, looking at, so 18 to 20% of the homes purchased were single women. What percentage were men, single men? Only 7%. Right? So what does that tell you guys?
Where did they live?
Where they? They're still living with mom and dad. I don't know. or they're renting. Yeah, I don't know. I've got a theory about this. So more and more single women living on their own, happy that way, right? And we have all these young women that we know in California, beautiful young women. They can't find a decent guy. They're frustrated. Women are, less and less today willing to sell. Right? This is just my theory. I think part of the problem is that too many young guys can't fix anything. One of the reasons you marry somebody is they can unplug a toilet. Right? They can hang a picture on them. Is that true? And so many young guys grow up today, I'm not going to unplug a toilet. Call a plumber. Well, if I call a plumber, I don't need you. Why am I feeding you? It's just a theory. I may be wrong. I'm just throwing it out there. All right, number 7. Demographics and psychographics. 2 terms you need to be aware of. Most people are familiar with demographics. And when we talk about demographics, we're talking about gathering data and information that helps create a profile of particular folks, buyers, right, prospects out there. What's some of the data that we would collect and analyze from a demographic standpoint? What would be examples of demographics? The age, the income, heritage, religious affiliation, family size, type of industry, all those kinds of things, right? So it's facts and it's data and information. Now, is that helpful to us in the business of designing homes and marketing homes? Is demographics important? Absolutely. It kind of helps you know who people are and what they're all about and what's going to meet their needs. And the idea from a marketing standpoint is to try to get your head around what kind of marketing messages will resonate with a particular group. And so we look at all this stuff. We're in a world of big data where today we have artificial intelligence. We have people gathering this data, crunching it, scraping it off the internet, coming in from every source under the sun. Google's selling it, Amazon's selling it, right? Everybody's got all this data. And they run it through you're all familiar with artificial intelligence, right? Where these computers are given algorithms and they are constantly crunching all this data. They're looking for patterns, and they're also trying to do predictive analytics. Are you familiar with that term? And they're trying to predict who's more likely to want to buy or sell a home, who's more likely to want to move. Does that make sense? And they're finding patterns, they're finding stuff, and all this stuff has not only changed real estate marketing, it's changed marketing across the board, it's changed politics. Politics now, it's a whole new world as they analyze and crunch this data and know what messages will resonate with different, isn't it crazy? Okay, but there's another huge component of that, and that term is psychographics. Anybody familiar with that? And most people aren't, but usually there's somebody out here who's looking at psychographic and saying, I'm not sure what this means, but I know it has something to do with my clients because the word psycho is right there at the very beginning of it. What would you guess if you had to guess psychographics? Exactly, it's the way people think. It's their values. It's lifestyle components. It's the kind of messaging that resonates with them. So we can have 2 groups that are maybe similar, very similar from a demographic standpoint, but when it comes from a psychographic standpoint, they could be quite different. Isn't that true? So for example, in some areas on one side of town, maybe we have a whole group of people with this demographic segment, and they're going to plays and Broadway shows and listening to classical music. And not too far away, we have another demographic segment that looks similar, and they're going to monster trucks and they're houseboating and listening to country music and have different interests. Make sense? Is that doing NASCAR? Is that important to us when it comes to marketing? Yeah, dramatically changes the message. The most successful seniors development in the nation right now. Does anybody know what it is? It's Margaritaville. And all of that branding around Margaritaville and Jimmy Buffett and all the fun. It's about retiring and life is a party. right? And can you see how that draws in a certain, not just demographic, but psychographic that relates to that, resonates, and has all kinds of fun with it. So that's what we're talking about there. And in our training, we teach how to dig into this, and how to gather the information, how to create marketing strategies, create marketing around it. Next, we have Generation Tech. Generation Tech. First question here is, do you have to teach a 1-year-old how to use an iPad? You just throw them an iPad, they ask you for the password, right? And they start downloading stuff, and it's like, I didn't know you could do that on an iPad. You know, crazy what these kids are doing. But here's the point. We're not selling homes to 1 and 2-year-olds, but we have generations now, even baby boomers and seniors, who have grown up with technology. It's an important part of our life, right? Do you think your clients are judging you on some level as a professional on the basis of how you integrate technology into your business?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. How many of you think you could take that game a step or two higher? Could you do that? Absolutely. It's always a moving target. You know, so you get that idea, oh, I've been doing real estate, I'm doing just fine. Well, that's fine. And some people will continue until they're done and burn out. But the reality is many people are evaluating one of the things. It's how you communicate, how you organize yourself. What's the most effective way you communicate with clients? It's texting, isn't it? How many of you have found that? Are you doing mostly texting? Yeah, email has become snail mail, hasn't it?
I just took a millennial class, and my takeaway from that was that 76% of the marketplace by 2026 will be millennials.
Okay, all right. 76% will be millennials. Yeah, and those numbers are growing fast as far as them moving into home. And here's what's interesting: millennials by 2026, so over a decade roughly. So what's happening is interesting. Not too long ago, millennials were gravitating more towards urban centers, right? And there's still a whole group of those, mostly those who aren't necessarily interested in raising families and stuff as much. But what everybody was surprised to find a few years ago is the millennials now are moving out in the suburbs and recreating lifestyles just like their parents did. Isn't that crazy? When they were supposed to be so completely different, right? It's really interesting, but that's why, understanding, learning that stuff, understanding how buyers think. And again, the whole goal is for you to ask yourself, in my hood, what's happening? Who's out there? What are the needs? What's available in housing? What are the needs in housing? And here's one of my points. I talked earlier about the fact there's a 28 to 30% premium, right, for something new compared to something old. And I was at the Builders show in Las Vegas, and I ended up in a conversation with some young guy. I hadn't met him before. He's a young builder. He says, "Man, I'll tell you," he says, "it's really tough." He says, "I want to build a 3-bedroom, 2.5 baths, 2-car garage home," and he says, "I'm competing with the existing homes in the area, and my prices are it's very difficult to overcome that premium, right, with the benefits we have." So what's the answer to somebody like that? Don't build the same thing that's already there at a lower price, right? Let the used market meet that. Build something different. Build seniors housing. Build housing that meets the needs of a multi-generational folks, right? Look around and say to yourself, what do buyers need that's not here? And you can easily get a premium for that because the product really meets their needs, right?
Tech integration in homes.
Tech integration in the home. That takes us to the very next thing here. Tech integration of technology in the home. Yeah. Were you cheating? You were looking ahead. All right, how many times I tell you to stop? No, it's good. All right, so integration. So we used to call it smart house, right? Smart home technology. Today, it's all voice control. It's advancing like crazy. Which market segments are really interested in smart home technology in the home?
Generation Z.
Yeah, so you'd say the young, and absolutely, the younger the buyer, the more they're saying, I absolutely have to have it. But what's interesting is that the surveys are finding every market segment wants that, right? The old grandpas are saying, I want to control my house with an iPad. And they have trouble seeing the iPad, right? But they want to do it. So every generation wants it. In new housing, it's much easier to do it. It's becoming, you've got Nest and you've got voice control integration. Amazon and Google fighting for that, Hey Google and Alexa control the home. Here's what's interesting. Not only is all that stuff out there, it's affordable, more and more manufacturers doing this stuff. One thing I think is interesting is to think in terms of the fact there was a tipping point not too long ago where every single word that has ever been written in any language on planet Earth is now stored in Google. So in essence, every bit of knowledge that's ever been put in writing on a smartphone, on our computer, they said in less than 17 seconds we have access to that. What is that? Isn't that incredible? It is unbelievable. And are we tapping into that, right? And so that's what, when you watch the young people growing up, a story I love here is we went to Ohio just 2 summers ago. We went to Ohio, and our youngest granddaughter, we have 4 grandkids, our youngest was 5 at the time, Gigi. And Gigi's, we've all grown up with technology, right? It's second nature to them and the things they do. We get in my brother-in-law's house. The kids run around. Gigi goes into the bedroom wing, comes back out in the kitchen. She says, Papa, Dad, how do they turn on and off the lights? They don't have Alexa. So I went over to the wall and I showed her the light switch. She said, oh, I remember that. Yeah, I remember. Their life is completely different. And it's funny, I noticed the other day somebody was talking, one of the kids were talking about something, and somebody was asking about some fact, right? Geez, I wonder who wrote this song, or what about that? And they said, well, let's Google it. And my brother-in-law got up to head to the computer to Google it, but what did the kids do? Hey, Google! They just shouted right out, right? So anyway, it's a whole new world. All this stuff is getting integrated into the home. There's great tools out there, whether it be security, control of HVAC. We have the Nest at home, so when we're flying home, if the tree looks this morning, it's not 77 degrees. We're flying home, we can cool it down when we get there, right? Those kinds of things create great convenience. This is a line of refrigerators from Samsung. I don't know how many, anybody, do you have home grocery delivery here?
Yeah.
Okay, do you have Amazon Fresh? There's an Amazon, we're big fans of Amazon. Samsung came out with a line of refrigerators. And so imagine you're at home, you're working on some paperwork, and there's a ring on the doorbell. You open the door, and there's somebody there with a bunch of groceries. And you say, I didn't order any groceries. And the guy says, your refrigerator did. Yeah. Once a week, the refrigerator figures out what's missing and orders a new batch, right?
They even have freaking cameras in them.
Yeah.
When you're at the store,
You can actually look.
You can look what's in your fridge.
Right, on the app. Yeah, on your app, yeah. Of course, you get somebody, whoever leaves that last little bit of milk, don't you want to kill them? Because you're looking at that cart and you're saying, all right, is it empty? Is it full? All right, but anyway, first world problems, right? Yeah, exactly. But anyway, this is the way the world's going. All right, now at the in-law suite, I'm throwing this up here. This is really multi-generational, but I threw this up just separately for one main reason. We know that this is a huge, huge area of demand, where people have a mom and dad, or maybe even mommy and dad kind of moving in, and this is going to continue to grow. But the other reason I put this up here is because I realize that a lot of us ladies are not aware that us guys, we don't talk about it, but us guys have kind of a shared dream, right? Number one, someday we're going to meet a beautiful bride, and we're going to be happier than we've ever been in our life. And then, if we play our cards right, someday our mother-in-law will move in with us. Am I right, guys? Right? Take a look at it. I immediately smiles, supporting that.
You wait for it.
Yeah, has anybody, have any of you had that dream come true? I did. It was, okay, great. Yeah, I did. It's even better than the dream. I mean, it was unbelievable. My mother-in-law lived in Ohio, and she visited us a lot, right? Yeah. And she came one time, and I noticed that Teresa had not purchased a return ticket, airline ticket. And I noticed she had a lot of luggage. Right? And I noticed a week later she knew more of the neighbors than I did. So something was up. So anyway, I hope for all of you get the dream come true. And now we're going to talk about live-work design. You're all familiar with the concept of live-work design. Many of you probably have great work areas, offices at home. And would you say the desire for some form of live-work is, again, going to shrink or is going to grow? Yeah, continue to grow. And on the very simple end of it, it's just a nice work area at home. More and more we have situations where a home is designed for a business with employees and some real space dedicated to that, and then a living area. It's not a new idea. It's as old as dirt. Back in the frontier days, the people who ran the general store, where did they live? Right upstairs. And many of us are familiar, and I don't know what you have here, but a lot of small towns across the country as we travel, right on the square. You'll see a whole thing with shops and retail and offices, and right above that, right, are various forms of residential, apartments and condos and things. We have new developments being built where walkability is the focus, And it's a combination of apartments and townhomes and single family and restaurants and shops and retail and offices. And people live in an area where a lot of people don't even own cars, right? If you're gonna take a long trip, you can Uber. Otherwise, you can get on a scooter or ride a bike or walk to what you want. Do you have any of that stuff going on?
I read that that's what they're gonna do with our prison, is once they remove that, because it populates so much.
Okay.
Trying to get,
You're gonna put all the inmates upstairs.
Yeah, well, and another example is big shopping malls. In a lot of areas, because of the impact of Amazon and online shopping, they're closing shopping malls. Matter of fact, what's interesting is Amazon has been buying up shopping malls and turning them into distribution warehouses. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, but they're doing that. They're taking shopping malls and converting that into those kinds of live-work environments. So, yeah, so great examples of this stuff. This is actually down in the Newport Harbor, and this was a project a number of years ago that was just a pretty new concept of doing live-work there. These were some old warehouse buildings where they did boat repair and so on, and then behind that, the developer bought these, some cottages, some beach cottages and homes there, tore it all down, and built about 20 units. And the lower level, you can see in this photo here, was just like an open garage area where they have whatever the business is. There's a hair cutting business, insurance business, that sort of thing. And then the living is on the upper 2 levels. And these things sold instantly. They never make it to the MLS. It's just word of mouth or pocket listings. They sell instantly again. But we've continued to see more and more of this stuff all over the country. This is an example here again of an old town square where you had that. And this is up in LA where a group got together, built that kind of a structure, tore down a bunch of old stuff, built that, and then turned around and flipped that to investors who want to own it and lease it. And isn't that cool? And those opportunities may be here. Yes, sir.
I've heard of this, and maybe you can tell me whether it's urban myth but I've heard in New York they built a lot of condo or apartment style dwellings on top of grocery stores.
Oh, yeah.
The elevator goes down to the grocery store, and the condos don't have kitchens.
Oh, I don't know about that. I'm not familiar with that without kitchens. I'll have to look. And I know some folks who do a lot in New York. I'll have to look at that. A lot of kitchens today are really just for show, right?
Right.
More and more today, they're ordering food in and going out to restaurants. But I'll check into that. That's interesting. But we certainly see it a lot. I mean, for years and years in more dense areas, you'll see residential over the top of various, retail and office type uses.
I can see
And
some
more
insurance benefits from that as well, not having a kitchen could eliminate possible premiums.
That's possible. I got it. A lot of people want a kitchen for show, though. You want to just look at my fabulous kitchen, and the caterer comes in and spreads stuff around.
I'm cooking as fast as I can dial.
Right. So, all right. So anyway, so live work design. And what are the drivers behind this, guys? What's the drivers behind this? What makes, why is there more desire or need or interest in live work? Okay.
I think a lot more moms working, both parents working, and some for kids in some fashion.
Yeah, so it's the fact that a lot of companies say, why in the world we have a huge office building, full amount of office, cubicles, right? And we can have people working out of their home, we can keep people off the street. JetBlue, if you call their customer service, you could be talking to somebody working on some woman on a farm in Iowa. They log in when they want to put in hours. They log out if they've got to cook dinner or take the kids to soccer. And so we've got those efficiencies. You have more people want to do home-based business. I mean, think about it. You can create a business and sell your products on Amazon. You can build a website, in 20 minutes and be selling your product and services across the world. You've got lots and lots of older Americans who completed one career, maybe even 2, and they now start a home-based business they've always wanted to do, consulting or whatever it may be. We have young people who are more interested. I think there's more young people out there who are interested in starting their own businesses. Then you have kids in your home who are watching Shark Tank. Yeah, you like that show? Or not? Our grandkids watch Shark Tank. They're watching. The 12-year-old is watching and saying, "How in the world is he going to scale that business up?"
Yeah.
I mean, the market's so limited for that, right? The 8-year-old is saying he doesn't know his numbers. There's no way. He's not going to get an investment. I'm thinking, were you thinking about that when you were 8 and 12?
I wish I could find capital investment for that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you were meeting with venture capitalists.
Right.
Yeah, typical 10-year-old. Yeah. All right, but anyway, it's a different world, and so more of that desire. All right, we're gonna talk about infill building and development. We're gonna talk about this for a few minutes. Are you excited about this? Yeah, this is good stuff. I think it's one of the most exciting areas of opportunity in real estate. I think it's something that offers unique opportunity for us as real estate professionals. I think that it's going to just grow and grow and grow. But to put it in perspective right now, do you know that roughly 30% of all residential building permits that were pulled last year across the nation were some form of infill? That's a big number. That's a big percentage, right? Yet almost no one in real estate knows what it is or is doing anything with it. I've been sharing this now for quite a few years, and some of the success stories I have. I'll never forget one, very quickly, is a guy who attended a convention, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago. He attended the convention, he came up, introduced himself. He's a dentist. I was here 2 years earlier, sat in on one of your sessions. And he said, I had no idea the concept of baking your own pie. I didn't know what the heck it was all about. He said, I walked out of your session, and I knew exactly what you meant about baking your own pie. And he said, I went ahead and I took the training, I completed it. He said, I knocked it out in 2-3 weeks on weekends. And I went out and I just put one foot in front of the other, and he focused on infill. And he says, here's what's exciting. He said, last year, I closed $50 million worth of real estate, and I'm on track this year for $70 million. Pretty good, right? He said, while I'm here at this convention, and he said, prior to that, he said, I hadn't hardly done anything. I was just just a young guy in real estate getting my start. He said, suddenly everybody's looking, 50 million, 70 million, this guy's on track. While I'm here at the convention, I have builders back home building new inventory. He says, I'm going to go home and I'm going to throw up another, $12, $15 million worth of listings when I get back because they're finishing this stuff up. He said, I have my own unique listings they're building for me. He says, but not just new inventory. They're building the floor plans I picked up. They're putting in the appliances, the cabinets, the flooring. They're painting the walls the colors I selected. How many of you'd like to have that kind of inventory? He says, they're building exactly what I know the market wants to buy. Isn't that cool? And he says, and then here's the most exciting thing of all. He says, while all this is happening and I'm building my business, he says, I know every year I'm going to continue to grow my business. He said, none of the other agents in the area have any idea what I'm doing. They don't know how I'm making this happen. It's my best kept secret. How many of you'd like to be doing business that way? That's the business of a creator. That's not the business of a waiter. That's the business of somebody who says, I'm going to bake my own pie, right? And what's he doing? He's doing infill. He's going out, he's knocking on doors, he's finding properties, putting deals together. He's going to developers and saying, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to buy these. You're going to tear them down. Here's what you're going to build. Here's what your costs are going to be for acquisition. Here's estimates roughly what your development and building costs and so on are going to be. Here's what we can sell these units for. Here's your prospective gross profit margin. Does that make sense to you? That's creating an opportunity and baking your own pie. How many of you think that might be an area, the way you want to take your business? And guess what? You focus on that. Yeah, you're going to keep your eyes or your ear open. What's happening in technology? What are the disruptors? What are the business models going on out there? But you're not going to be too worried about it because what you're doing is the kind of thing that takes your hands and your mind and your relationships, right? Your creativity. You see what I'm saying? How's that for creating some security in your life? So let's talk about infill. I'd like you to go to the top of the next page, and I'd like you to jot down infill success strategies. We're not going to get through all of the trends here today, by the way. I just wanted to make sure I got at least to this point. Certainly lots of trends happening. But anyway, infill success strategies. First thing I'd like you to jot down is highest and best use. So Bill, you brought that up earlier. Highest and best use. You're all familiar with that concept, right? We're going to maximize the value of a piece of real estate. We're going to identify and utilize it in its highest and best use. Is it possible that there are different areas around us, and certainly not some of the areas where it's all new construction, there's plenty of room, and others maybe are more established, older. Is it possible there's real estate uses around us where that use was established 50 years ago, 100 years ago, we'll say, and today there's a higher and better use? Is that possible?
Yeah.
And what's changing that? Changes in zoning, changes in buyers, changes in the marketplace, right? Changes in the area itself, new transportation, availability of utilities, all those kinds of things as they're adapting. People say, Dennis, what's the formula? How do I go ahead and calculate and figure out highest and best use? There's no secret formula. Well, here's how you do it. You first take a hard look at what's there and what could be there. So how do you do that? You go ahead, you learn about zoning and the planning process, and you learn what's available, right? You think about what the market needs that's not there in the marketplace. So it's just a matter of putting that stuff together. What's there? What could or should be there? And is it possible I can draw some sort of steps from A to B? Is there a higher and better use and I can somehow make that happen? Brings me to my next point. How many of you are actively attending your local planning commission meeting? We talked about Builders Association. How many of you are attending planning commission meetings? Anyone? Okay, occasionally. How many of you think that could enhance your real estate career? Think about it. Listen, I've had people say, you know, if I had a crystal ball, real estate, there is so much money, there's so much success to be enjoyed. If I knew what was around the corner, if I had a crystal ball. Well, I haven't found a crystal ball yet, okay? Colin and I are still searching for that thing. When we do find it, you'll be the first to know, right? But the truth of the matter is, the closest thing to that is what? These planning commission meetings. What's happening there? What's happening there is they're planning the future. They often hire consultants. They're talking about you've got your existing zoning and your grandfathered zoning uses, and then you have your zoning overlays of where they want things to go, and new uses. And sometimes there's aggressive redevelopment districts where they'll fast track stuff to get rid of the old stuff to get new stuff in there. And they're trying to find a way to increase the tax base and get rid of ugly old things, increase the community. They're trying to, in many cases, draw in not only more homeowners and so on, but more businesses. Maybe they want to go ahead and provide an area that meets the needs of live work. And many people want to do that because they want to create a desire for small technology startups, technology businesses to grow. Isn't that true? All that stuff's going on. Sometimes there's transportation. There's a new rail station. There's a new subway or something like that, public transportation. And suddenly all around that area is an opportunity for higher and better use and growth. You attend the planning commission meetings, you get to see that stuff unfolding. You get to see what's happening. You get to see builders and developers who are actively pursuing approvals. You get to become aware of new things that are happening. A lot of other people they'll never even know there's a new development or anything happening until they see maybe some surveyor stakes go up. Or maybe somebody knocks down some trees. They say, oh, I wonder what's happening. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. Right? Because they're waiters, right? In the meantime, you already knew this was coming because you've been at the planning commission meetings. You know exactly what's coming. You know the approvals. You've seen the preliminary plans or the approved plans. Isn't that cool? I talked earlier about the idea, what if you know the name of a new development, new community's coming, and as soon as you know, you buy up some URLs around that. You create some URLs where you've got some landing pages, and once people start hearing about it, searching about it, they end up on your landing pages, and you build content around that, and you're taking photos, you've got information on it. I know people, our son, one of the things he does where there's some new development, he tries the best he can to get involved, but if he doesn't get involved in the sales and marketing base, he's set up drones and gotten drone footage of the area, the layout, the new development, the layout of the streets, and then you create a landing page to draw people to that, and they connect with you and you help. Does that make sense? And a lot of those people ultimately aren't necessarily buying that product, they're people who are interested in buying something and you're connecting with them. So attendance planning commission meetings. So you get to see builders, developers. You get to see the process unfold. You get a sense of what's political here. What is the process? How do they get variances? What things does the city want to see or not see? Okay, who are the players? Who are some of the relationships you can build? Builders, developers, who else? City officials. The planning commissioners. I talked about the magical power of donuts. If any of you have gone ahead and stopped by a planning commissioner or the zoning inspector's office with donuts and coffee. Have you ever thought of doing that? Do it. Make friends with these people. Hey, what's cooking? What's going on in the community? I had some questions about this area out here. You know, what are some of the opportunities you see? What are some of the needs in the city you feel that aren't being met right now as it relates to housing? Get to know these people. Tap into their expertise. They're people you can turn to, right?
Well, the people you have to know so much.
Oh, so much. If you're going to get involved in infill, you have to know these people, right? They can sometimes give you an answer in 2 minutes that you could spend years trying to get to, right? They can introduce you to people. So what else is there? So you got the planning commissioners, you got zoning inspectors, you got local politicians, you have investors, okay? You've got attorneys that specialize in zoning, construction, variance, law. Okay, our son Christian, I told you, he joined real estate in 2010. As soon as he had his office set up, he went ahead and he joined the local builders association. But religiously, as much as possible, attending those meetings, he's met builders, developers, architects, engineers, land planners. About 6 years ago, he identified just north of Newport Beach, between Newport and Huntington's, an area called Costa Mesa. Started attending the planning commission meetings. He has gotten to know all the planning commissioners, takes them out to lunch, stops in and visits the zoning inspector. right? He's met developers there. He'll sit down right next to him in a meeting and then at some point shake hands and, hey, can I stop by and take a look at the site? He met an attorney there that specialized in liquidating trusts and estates. What a pain this guy is. Every time you turn around, he's trying to sell some real estate. Who needs this? Have any of you done 1031 exchanges? Okay. Christian's become like the local specialist in 1031 exchanges, mostly from people he's met there, right, through those relationships. He has other agents referring him these all the time. And what a pain is that, right? Somebody says, well, I got this $2 or $4 million property. If you could please sell this, find me another one, and I got to hurry up and buy it in 45 days, right? It's just too much pressure, isn't it? We don't need that kind of pressure now, unless you want to sell a lot of real estate. Right? Okay, so attendance of planning commission meetings. Who else is there? Local property owners. Some of them are there because they just want to cause a bunch of friction and complain about everything, and they don't want any progress, right? Some of them get so frustrated they actually may sell and leave. I'll help you with it. There are people there trying to figure out what's going on. How does it impact my property? I'll help you with that. There are folks there who own investment properties. I'll help you with that. Make sense? All right. Very different way of doing business, isn't it? Yeah. Very different. Unbelievable opportunity. Number 3, power of relationships. So, no, I forgot to load the font that I actually used.
Oh, that's okay.
And it's the power of relationships. I've talked about that. You can make such incredible relationships here with some of these people that lead to so many things. And I'm going to tell you Christian's results here shortly. Number 4, packaging projects. Packaging projects. I'd like you to think in terms of, again, instead of waiting for someone else to bring new inventory, instead of waiting for someone else to make something happen, somebody else to get through, what if you start thinking in terms of, let me start being the rainmaker, let me start being the creator. Let me identify opportunities. And guess what? I've met a few investors, and I know some builders and developers I've built relationships. An architect, a land planner, let me get somebody, let me put together a team of people, and maybe let's pursue an opportunity to bring some seniors housing. Right? Or maybe an opportunity to bring something to the market where we would have some live-work housing that meets people or needs. Or maybe some condos, right, that meet this particular price range. Does that make sense to you? And you play the role as somebody bringing it all together and handling all the marketing. And some of the folks doing this are actually becoming partners. As I talked with Rick Gerke, actually becoming partners in some of the property for lease. One of the folks Christian met at one of these meetings is a woman who owns 164 apartment rental units. It's a hobby. Her husband died, I don't know how many years ago. She made it her hobby to start acquiring them. And he's met her, and he's now to the point where she never buys or sells anything without calling him for his expertise. That's a pretty good contact, isn't it? Yeah, it turns into great business. All right. The last thing I have is position yourself as the local infill expert. Position yourself as the local infill expert in your marketing, in your messaging, on your website, as you talk to people. Position yourself as a local infill expert. I'd like you to think right now in your hood, in your market area. Think of other real estate professionals you compete with. Right? Who are the top 5 local infill experts in your area? Yeah. Anybody think of one? Okay, so what does this tell you, gang? 30% of all the residential building permits last year were some form of infill. There's unlimited opportunity in most areas, right, to create new housing, to meet new needs, meet new trends. You, as a real estate professional, are uniquely positioned to help builders and investors and developers make this stuff happen, understand the market, determine what to build, market it, and sell it successfully. Yet no one seems to be pursuing this. Isn't that crazy? Just to get to the end of Christian's story, and I have all kinds of folks doing this, but it's close to home with our son. We're very proud of him. Christian started 6 years ago. He started going to these meetings. And he started, after 6 months, he identified in Costa Mesa roughly 1,500 properties he felt had a higher and better use. He started sending out a letter. It started out as one page, one side of an 8.5 by 11. Dear John, Dear Joe, whatever, mail merge on the guy's name or her name. And it said, I'm Christian Walsh, I'm the local infill expert for the city of Costa Mesa. What that means is I attend planning commission meetings on a regular basis. I know the planning commissioners, zoning inspectors. I study zoning, the current maps, the overlays. I know real estate, property values. I monitor the sales like no one in this area. If you're considering the idea of investing in Costa Mesa, please give me a call. I'll be happy. No cost or obligation. If you're thinking about the possibility of selling your property, I work with builders, developers, investors looking for opportunities. If you'd like to get a sense of what's happening in planning and zoning, what's around the corner, and how it may impact the value of your property, please give me a call. Do you think this is compelling at all? If you own investment property, rental property, and you're not sure if you're maximizing your return on your investment, please give me a call because I make it my business to monitor property values, rental costs. I have lots of strategies and ideas to help you maximize your property, to maximize rent, maximize your return, and maximize value. Does that make sense? Do you think those generate some responses? Yeah, now how many responses would you need to get from those 1,500 letters to make it worthwhile, let's say on a monthly basis? Yeah, actually, if you get one a year, right, one good one, he gets about three, averages about, I think, 3 to 4 a month. He's had as many as 20 in 1 month, and he's had months with nothing. He recently expanded that list to over 5,000. He's into Huntington Beach, Santa Ana, and Costa Mesa. And very quickly, Christian has his license with an organization of 50,000 agents nationwide. And last year, he won an award for being in the top 1%. So that's not bad. Now, he's not happy with that. This year, he's roughly doubled his production. So he's kind of working his way up the ladder. Bless you. That deserves a round of applause. Have you ever heard a sneeze like that? That was incredible.
That voice percent though.
My gosh, and yeah, a little tail on the reverbs there. You know that you practice that thing. That's beautiful. Well, that's kind of a good ending for me. I think she was telling me, will you stop talking so we can listen to Teresa? All right, so here's what I like to do. I'm going to jump. Have you had some fun today?
Yes.
Have you learned anything today?
Yes.
I hope so. I hope we've inspired you. Again, it's about opportunities. Think about where you want to go. Teresa's going to go ahead now and talk about her training and a few things. When she's done, I'd like to get back just a few more minutes of pain. I'll just finish things off here. But let's welcome the lovely Teresa Walsh. Thank you so much for being
Let's
here.
give Dennis a nice round. Can you imagine if you drank caffeine, how he would be? Are you kidding me? Welcome to my world. Okay.
Here, let me do this for you while you're here.
So I gave you all a flyer. I'm going to talk really fast. So what we're okay here. Thanks, Dan. All right, perfect. Okay, so what we have here is 2 national designations for the price of one. Now they're online, and I know what you're thinking. Oh my gosh, online. There's some really bad online courses out there, but the way the online courses are structured, you're listening to Dennis while you're filling out worksheets, and you've got visuals. So you really feel like he's in the room with you one-on-one, and guess what else? You do it whenever you want to. It's available whenever you are. That's really what's awesome. So what it covers, Certified Name Specialist, Dennis got you roughly going through maybe 2.5 hours of this course today. What did I do? Here we go. You're going to learn about builder representation. I know quite a few hands went up when Dennis asked, would anybody be interested in representing builders? We will teach you how to go out there, find them. Most importantly, selling your services to the builders. Buyer representation. When we were at your Century 21 convention a few years ago, one of the things I kept hearing from the agents is, oh my gosh, these buyers, they drive me crazy. They go directly to the builders. And I'd look at them, I'd say, so who's dropping the ball? You can't get upset with the buyers if they're not thinking about you. That means you're missing out on opportunity. And when you do have them, you need to be able to demonstrate what you're bringing to the table and why they need you. Infill. Hey, it's not for everybody, but boy, what a great way to go out there and create your own inventory. It is awesome. Dennis teaches you how to do it. Market research and creative marketing. Selling your services to builders. This is not selling your services to builders. Knocking on the door and saying, hey, I'd like to list your home. You're going to be just like every other realtor out there. You need to be able to demonstrate what you're bringing to the table. I got my license over 30 years ago. Biggest difference from then to today. If you're not demonstrating value, you're not going to build loyalty. And if you're not building loyalty, you're not getting their business. That's just the way it is nowadays. So the builder wants to know, how are you going to make their life easier? You'll be able to demonstrate that. Extensive step-by-step sales and closing, contracts, customer service, and much more. This is 12 hours. You got roughly 2 hours on your belt already. Available whenever you are. You've got 2 years access. So that's the beauty. I don't even want to bring it up, but your snowy season's going to be coming up. It'll be a great time for you guys to do your training. RCC. Would you agree we're in an HGTV world? Every house you sell was once a brand new home. And how many of us kind of get a little bit threatened when we're on a construction site because we don't understand the anatomy of a home? You're going to learn it. Materials and methods, structure, terminology, blueprint reading. If you're working on a custom scenario, you'll be able to, here's what's really cool, you can pull up the RCC course on your cell phone, on your iPad. If you're working with a buyer and you're trying to help them better visualize, here, this piece of dirt right here, this is going to be your home. Let me show you what you can expect in the first 4 weeks of construction. Pull up your RCC course. Show them the various stages. The builders like that because it kind of keeps them off their back. Hey, why is somebody not on my home? Why is somebody not working today? Because Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, you have to pass inspection before you go to the next phase of construction. You're going to learn that all in the training. Architectural design, site design, topography, from the ground up construction, quality construction, much more. This is 10 hours. Every time you log in, you pick up from where you left off, okay? That's how that's structured. These are all your slides. You'll be listening to the man, so you have to make sure your audio is on, because if you can't hear Dennis, you're not going to learn a whole lot, that's for sure. And here is your interface. So you see the play button here? Play. You get a phone call, pause it. The other thing that I like about the online training, sorry, Den, is if you've had enough of Den, you can shut them off. You can't do that in the person. I know, I live with the man. I know, I understand. Just kidding. So tell you what's very exciting. We are giving you an awesome opportunity. You'll see that the retail price on the flyer is $700. You'll see the price here is $499, but because you spent time with us today, it's only $398. And we give you a payment program. So you also get 2 years access to the training. I don't want you to take 2 years, but you blink and a year goes by, okay? But you have full 2 years. Even if you jam through it and you get your designations right away, you still have access. This is my favorite. How much do you have to pay every year to renew these designations? $0. That deserves an applause. Kind of does. Doesn't that annoy you when they make you renew? We don't do that. The other thing we give you is a 90-day money-back guarantee. I can tell you how great it is, but it's like a movie. I can tell you how great the movie was, but until you go see the movie yourself, you have to experience it. You've got nothing to lose. Try it. Your new homes market is insane here. It's awesome. Now, package B. This is the Ginzu knives, okay? So you got everything over here is over here. But now you've got 2 additional support products. Toolbox presentation book. This is awesome for you. Anybody who's like, I know I want to do this. I want to hit the ground running and I want to have the products to help me go out there and make it happen. These are forms and checklists. You can put your Century 21 logo on all of these. Your name, your company name. Check this one out. Pre-construction planning checklist. Look at the last thing on the list is begin construction. Guaranteed, any buyers you're working with will have no clue. They don't even know the questions to ask. They think they know what they need to know until you demonstrate what they don't know. Because they want to know why they're working with you. Well, here you go, Mr. and Mrs. Customer. I'm going to help you be more organized. This is a new home design information organizer. You can even apply this to resale. Let's find out what it is you have to have in your home, need, wants, all of that. This is the construction specification checklist. Buyers are programmed to ask, how much is this house a square foot? Am I right? Okay, well that house is 3,000 square feet. Why is this house more? Well, guess what? Do you like that open staircase in the foyer? Do you want 2 hot water tanks? 2 air conditioning units? That's all going to impact the cost of the home. Let's find out ahead of time what the differences are until it's too late and you're already living them. Follow what I'm saying? So you can help them. This is what's cool. Dennis is going to have you go through this. This is in the RCC course from the ground up. So you can go ahead, and by the way, we teach you how they do construction in all areas of the country. We have a lot of people moving here now from other areas of the country. You'll be able to speak knowledgeably about how they do it in their market area, which is really nice. So those are all your toolbox. Here's the other cool thing that I love that's on the toolbox. Have you ever seen any real estate professional in your market offering a new home buyer seminar? not a first time. Everybody does first time buyer seminars. Have you ever seen anybody doing a new home buyer seminar? Guess what? I think everyone in this room is going to be doing a new home buyer seminar, okay? Because what it's all about is demonstrating what you're there to help them with, the questions, aligning yourself with the builder, all of that. We teach you all of that in the toolbox, suggestions. The other great thing with those forms and checklists, if you are going to sell your services to a builder, those are the kinds of forms and checklists the builder's going to expect us to create. So you have all those. Presentation builder, we can always step up our game in technology. So here's a cool idea. You're going to go in and meet with a builder. They'll tell you they have 4 minutes, tops. And not to be mean, but most builders have ADD. Okay, they really do, okay? So, remember I said don't knock on the door, say I'd like to list your home. Here's the biggest pet peeve builders have shared with me. Realtor will call them, yeah, I love your home. Oh my gosh, I'd love to list it. Yeah, so which ones have you seen? And they hear crickets. Haven't seen any. So now, you got that 4-minute opportunity with the builder. Take some photos of the homes that the builder has built and incorporate them in about 4 slides. Now, they're going to see you got a nice little presentation. You have bullet points. Dennis gives you dialogue and content you could copy and paste. Put it on your Facebook, put it on your website. But now, the builder's going to say, wow, Bill, I had no idea. You're not the typical realtor. You actually did your homework. I see my homes in your slides. Suddenly, they have time to talk with you. Do you see what I'm saying? To really just demonstrate your value, what you're bringing to the table. I promise you this, when you're done with the training, you're not going to have a builder, buyer, investor, developer. Nobody is going to look at you like you're an added cost. Because that's what they do. They think they could do without us. Not when you're done with the training. So that's what's really cool. So only $6.99 for the Ginzu knife, okay? Or $3.98 here, okay? Yeah, like being a white chick. We do have payment programs. Now, you guys, this is for today because you spent time with us, and you also got 3 CE credits, which your forms are out there, okay? But any of you interested, definitely take advantage of it. You got a 90-day money-back guarantee, and I'm going to pass out order forms. If the payment program doesn't work for you, come see me. I'm happy to work with you. Our sons in real estate, okay? We understand the highs and lows. Again, okay? Oh, and one last thing with the kids and wedge, you guys. You're going to get 20 additional continuing education credits towards your license. That deserves yet another class. Okay? Is this not exciting? Okay?
Thanks, that was nice. Didn't she do a nice job?
Yes.
All right, everybody has any questions, and she'll be passing those around. And I just kind of want to wrap up. I want to thank you all again. I want to thank Paul and Randy, thank Heather, thank all of you for being part of things. I hope you enjoyed being here today. Hope you got some value. If you think you got some value in the time we spent, we got loads more. And one of the things, and I'm just going to share a few thoughts with you here as we go. This is some of the feedback we get from folks who complete the training. This is one of the most common things we hear. The training's amazing for new homes, but I can't believe how much of it is fantastic in my resale business as well. I just had a guy completed the course, and he said, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how much sales training. He says, I have all these classes, and they're teaching us, they're trying to get us on the phone and follow up people. You taught strategies. You taught how to overcome objections. You taught how to closing techniques, things I'd never learned. So this stuff will apply to resale. I wish I had taken this training when I first got into real estate. I'd be so much more successful today. We literally have people who've been in real estate for 50 years, specializing in new homes, who've gone through and said, I learned so many strategies and ideas that I just never thought of, was never exposed to otherwise. So we promise you'll find tremendous value. And as she said, if you decide it's not for you, then you've got nothing to lose. Up in Northern California, this is an office manager. In less than 9 months following the Certified Home Specialist training, I've seen our agents explode in their business. They're obtaining listings within weeks of completing the training. Thanks for training that's literally changing many of our agents' lives. Jim Fassetti in Raleigh, North Carolina. By applying what I learned from Dennis pursuing new homes business, I've added $400,000 GCI. So that's a pretty good return. Ron Rowe, Columbia, South Carolina. Now we're with a tiny fraction of the new home opportunities that you all have here. I tracked the performance of 40 of my agents after they earned their Certified Home Specialist designations. In only 14 months, they landed more than 800 new homes listings. He says this training is one of the easiest no-brainer investments you should make in your career. There's Khadijah Johnson. Remember I talked about Khadijah? What a sweetheart. And she said how this has impacted her success. This past February, I won the National Association of Home Builders Salesperson of the Year Award. So we're very, very proud of her and happy to see that. And then I mentioned Casey Shermack. Casey Shermack was the fellow up in Louisiana, Minnesota, and building homes there. We watched his kids grow up. He's built investment properties. He says, yeah, this one here is Gracie's college fund. And this one here is Charlie's college fund. This here is the start of our retirement fund. He's done great things. 2 years ago, KC was elected president of the Builders Association for the entire state of Minnesota. We're very proud of him. He started all just like a lot of you saying, is new home something that I can do, something I can do in my business. So we think that's kind of cool. Where am I here? Whoop. There it is. So how many of you have a pretty good idea what I mean by baking your own pie? Do you agree with that? Well, hopefully you want to do that. Hopefully make that happen. And one last thought I'd like to leave with you. You've probably gathered that I've been a student of success, and honestly, ever since I was very young, listening to Earl Nightingale and all the tapes and reading the books and learning everything about succeeding in life and succeeding in business and everything in real estate. And I know most of the top trainers in the business are friends I've had for years, and learning from all of them, and all the executive coaching and so on. Here's the success stories you don't hear. I've heard and read thousands and thousands of them. You don't hear somebody saying, you know what I decided to do? I decided to keep doing exactly what I was doing. And I suddenly became amazingly more successful. I haven't heard that story yet. And I haven't heard the story where somebody says, I decided not to invest in myself and my education and my future, and suddenly everything changed and got better. It just doesn't happen. I don't hear the story of somebody saying, I decided not to move outside of my comfort zone and try something different. So the message is clear. You have a choice to make a decision on where you go. Hopefully we've helped you with that. Some of you are very happy and very successful in what you're doing. Some of you are saying, I want more, I want to head a different direction. So hopefully we've inspired you to do that. So thank you all so much for your time. We wish you tremendous success. Thank you. Heather, is there anything more you?
No,
You're done with us? You
Yeah,
had it?
thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.